Vamos a continuar hoy con Metal Gear Peace Walker. No puedo. ¿Qué voy? Puse los audífonos por abajo, ¿qué voy? Y yo creo que hoy, si nos va bien, terminamos la campaña principal. Y nos seguimos con lo que siga. Con las misiones extra y con la historia tras la historia. Pero ahorita lo que quiero hacer es... Estaba viendo como lo que hice en el Metal Gear Solid 1, los archivos de codec. No he checado las grabaciones de este juego. Entonces sí, checando las que llevamos hasta ahorita, ¿no? Entonces, ahorita va a ser... esto va a ser escuchando las puras grabaciones, nada más. Acabando de escuchar las grabaciones, continuamos con la historia, ¿va? Lo que quiero ver es si las misiones extra tienen grabaciones. Ok, creo que no.
Snake, I rigged that radio so you can contact our young lady friend Paz.
Is she okay?
No need to...
Pero bueno, estas son las grabaciones. ¿Cómo se llaman? Estos son los archivos de información de Metal Gear Peace Walker. Vamos a empezar por personaje. Y de ahí nos brincamos a por misión, ¿no? Entonces estos son los archivos de Kazuhira Miller. Bueno. Sobre la Mother Base. Una plataforma marítima.
Kaz, what kind of shape is that plant the professor gave us in?
First time I laid eyes on it, I thought it was some kind of joke. It was a giant birdhouse, seagulls everywhere. We eventually scraped off most of the rust and bird crap. The underlying structure's intact. Little elbow grease? Man, we should be in business.
Who used to own it anyway? Whatever shape it's in now, somebody sank some serious money into building it.
From what I can tell, an American university built it as a research platform for ocean thermal energy conversion. The name's still on some of the rusty old power turbines. I'm guessing they must have had government and corporate assistance to build it too. But they couldn't solve the thermal efficiency problem, and the project was cancelled. Then after the university abandoned it, a KGB front company scooped it up for next to nothing. At least that's my theory.
How'd the KGB manage to buy a plant built with American capital, front company or not?
Yeah, that professor is quite the operator. One other thing. The plant's set up so that it can join up with other plants of the same standard.
So, they were originally planning on expanding the place, huh?
Okay.
Hey, let's give it a shot. We can get some more people together and build this place up into a proper home for MSF. You're with me on this, right, boss?
Sure. Ok, es de la plataformita cuando nos la entregó en la primera misión, me imagino. La nueva plataforma.
The new plant is a hex type. That gives it more surface area than previous types, and also makes it easier to plan expansions. We're gonna make this place huge.
Hex,
En forma de panal, ¿no?
like a beehive.
Nothing
Una
wrong with
colmena,
that.
exactamente.
They say the honeycomb design is one of the strongest. I hear they're even thinking of using it in tank armor.
Good enough for me. I'll see about finding us some worker bees.
Appreciate it, boss.
Pondré a buscar ovejas obreras. La abeja reina, TP Queen.
By the
Queen
way,
Bee.
Kaz, who do you think's our queen bee?
Good
Queen
question.
Bee.
I was thinking maybe Paz.
I was thinking Strangelove.
Well, I can see that.
Pero este está más
Or maybe
adelantado
Cecile.
entonces.
On second thought, I might go with Amanda.
How about this, Snake? We'll have an army of queen bees.
Sure.
O sea, no se decide quién es la buena de la base, ¿no? Y ok, es Peace. Ok, ahora del rescate Fulton.
Snake, you can use the Fulton surface-to-air recovery system to send prisoners and unconscious mercenaries you encounter back to Mother Base. I know you've used the Fulton before, but just to make sure I'm not missing anything, let's review the steps.
Okay.
Hagas tutorial.
First, Attach a balloon to the unconscious enemy or captured prisoner.
Son
Right.
las...
I hook a wire to their waist, and on the other end of the wire, there's a helium balloon.
Right. Then we'll send over a chopper to catch the floating balloon with its recovery hook and reel it up into its cargo hold.
And that's it?
And that's it. We
¿Listo?
finished installing the recovery hook on the Huey.
Wait, Kaz. Something doesn't make sense about this whole process.
This again.
Well, normally, Fulton recovery is for when you're using fixed-wing aircraft. With a helicopter, isn't it simpler to land and pick up directly?
Listen, Snake. You're going to be calling for recoveries repeatedly throughout your mission. We want to keep the risk of taking enemy fire to a minimum. The best way to get that done is to do the recovery in a high-speed flyby. That's what the Fulton surface-to-air recovery system is for.
Ah.
What's the real reason?
Helicopters are cheaper, and the repair bills will start adding up once the bullets start flying.
I thought so. Kaz, I know we need to keep costs down, but...
Boss,
En
you really
términos
need
de
to get
dinero,
rid of
no
this
tenemos
whole
dinero.
army mentality. We're not the Pentagon. We don't have billions of taxpayer dollars to play with. And besides...
Fine. Just pick a reason that makes sense.
Helicopters have quicker response time. Sounds strange, yeah, but it works great. I promise. You'll get used to it before long.
Yeah, I hope so.
Pocas palabras, somos pobres. Es lo que iba a decir. Yo no ponía atención hace 12 años cuando jugaba. Pero sí decía, chinga, ¿cómo hacen para que un puto globo llegue a la base, no? O sea, el pinche globo los secuestra para el aire y llega un helicóptero y los engancha y se los lleva. Pero yo no me había puesto atención a eso. Yo dije, no mames, el pinche globo teledirigido, qué pedo. Pero bueno, entonces usamos el sistema Fulton porque somos pobres. Prácticamente. Ok, eso es todo lo relacionado a la Mother Base. Ahora al MSF. Los Militares Sans Frontiers.
Remember why we created MSF, Snake. To provide military force to whoever needs it, wherever they are, regardless of nation or ideology. Our beliefs aren't all that lofty.
We just won't be the tools of any
Somos la
one
herramienta de ningún
country.
país.
Exactly. We know only how to fight. But we refuse to live our lives at the whim of the state. The MSF seal is patterned after Pangaea, the supercontinent from 250 million years ago. Back then, the whole world was one landmass, one world. No gaps, no rifts.
Our strength will take us back there.
Nice. Los objetivos de MSF.
What about you, Kaz? Any interest in expanding MSF?
You'd better believe it. I want to make us into an organization that doesn't take orders from any country. Just like you were saying, we have to be strong. Strong enough to defend ourselves. We need money, too. Money to train soldiers to fight. The way I see it, we make MSF into something along the lines of a new kind of business. A contractor providing the full range of military services. Not just combat, but logistics, training, weapons, outfitting, and R&D. Combining the small footprint and exceptional performance of special forces with the raw military might of a full regular army. Only with that kind of power can we break free of nation states. What I need from you, boss, is to go out and find guys we can bring back here using Fulton recovery. Then tell us what assignment to use them for.
Ya estoy
I'll take
haciendo.
care of the rest.
Ok. De hecho, ahorita antes de empezar el stream vi todos los soldados que reclutamos ayer. Estuve haciendo una pinche lista de despidos masivos. Porque son de nivel muy bajo. Ahorita ya tengo asignado en la Mother Base a los mejores elementos que tengo. Así que los mejores en sus respectivas áreas. Pero sí, hice un despido masivo. Las fuerzas especiales.
Your old mentor, the boss. She was known in the West as the mother of special forces, right?
Nothing but propaganda.
Actually, it's not all that far from the truth. I heard the KGB just set up a counter-sabotage cell. Alpha Group, I think they call it. There's even a rumor that West Germany created a counter-terrorist unit within its border police after the debacle at the Munich Olympics. Back home in the States, they've got the illustrious Green Berets, the SEALs, and your personal creation, Foxhound. The seeds sown by the boss are beginning to sprout. Same goes for MSF, right?
¿Quién era el boina
Creating it,
verde?
you were
¿Big
carrying on
Boss
the will of
o
the boss.
Snake?
Yeah.
Vamos a ver
She
el
taught
Snake.
me how to fight the hard way. She beat it into me.
And now, thanks to her, we can take on missions other than just conventional combat. After all,
Aprendimos a las
we've got
malas.
the same mother as the Army's Special Forces.
La verga. Olvidé que eso estaba tan fuerte. Harley Quinn, muchísimas gracias por ese follow. Bienvenido, bienvenida. Estamos jugando Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker y estamos escuchando los archivos de misiones, de información. Acabando esto, vamos a continuar la campaña, por así decirlo. Estamos sacando el rango S en todas las misiones principales y vamos a la mitad del juego. Entonces, muchísimas gracias por pasarte, muchísimas gracias por el follow, bienvenido. Espero no te aburras ahorita con los diálogos, con los archivos estos. La necesidad de un Metal Gear.
You know, Snake,
Me espantaste
you're
con la
right.
alarma.
As long as we're soldiers without borders, we're going to be a target. We need our own deterrent.
Yeah, we're going to be stepping into a lot of different conflicts as we roam the world, each one unique, and with its own set of geography, ideologies, and politics. If we're going to intervene in those kinds of situations, we need the threat of a Metal Gear.
Unless we want to end up like Che Guevara did in Bolivia.
Well said. Our army without borders doesn't have a land to call home. We're nomads, wanderers. What we need now is a sheepdog to guard our flock.
Right.
Maybe it's not the way the boss would have gone about it, but there are places in this world that need us, and soldiers that need MSF. And as long as we're needed, we'll keep on moving. Ours is a journey that never ends. We're the real Peace Walkers.
Como los Peace Walkers. Es lo que comentaba ayer el doctor Huey, ¿no? Que construyen el Metal Gear como medida disuasoria. Pero no puede existir un arma disuasoria si no la prueban. Entonces la que golpea primero. Y recordemos que Big Boss es el que le puso el nombre Metal Gear a ese tipo de armas. Ok, eso es todo de la MSF. Ahora los clientes. Ramón Galvez.
Still can't believe Professor Galvez was KGB.
Well, like the professor said, Moscow's hell-bent on communizing Latin America.
Yeah, the Cuban intel services are all in the KGB's pocket. You don't think he's got some kind of ulterior motive?
If the CIA is up to something, it's only natural that the KGB wants to know about it. But I doubt they're showing us their full hand.
We'd better watch our backs.
Ok. Peace.
What do you think, Kaz? Why did Paz come all the way to Colombia herself?
It's a long trip to make just to be Exhibit A in Galvez's sales pitch. She's only 16, still a kid. Maybe we should take her wish for peace at face value.
Ok. Ahora sobre la Guerra Fría. La Guerra Fría.
Costa Rica isn't alone. All of Latin America is getting swept up in the superpowers' Cold War. The whole ideological split between East and West. In the end, it's just a greedy scramble for wealth by the ruling classes. The Western bourgeois stand to lose everything if their countries go communist. After all, the communists want to abolish private property altogether. So the capitalist rulers desperately tried to halt the global spread of communism. Hence the phenomenon of red baiting. And the communists, for their part, didn't exactly stay true to their principles. They tried to escape class-based society, but between Stalin's autocracy and the rise of the nomenclatura, they ended up creating one anyway. Once people have power, they stop caring about equality. That's where communism, where society in general reaches its limits. The rulers only care about their own gain. The opposing side becomes a risk factor that threatens the profit, and thus the ongoing struggle between capitalism and communism was born.
And now, nuclear deterrence is part of the picture.
Exactly.
Ok. La disuasión nuclear y la destrucción mutua asegurada.
They say nuclear weapons are the reason we haven't seen conflict on a global scale since World War II. The thought that your opponent might launch nukes against you sort of makes it tough to start an armed conflict.
De lo que
Especially
decía
now that they've
el
got
arma disuasoria, ¿no?
intercontinental ballistic missiles. Nowhere is safe.
Of course, all that has caused military expenditures to skyrocket.
Well, the only way to ward off a preemptive strike is to flaunt your own nuclear stockpile. And that's caused their numbers to increase exponentially, not just with regards to destructive power, but in terms of targeting technology too. Now they can hit a target halfway across the world with pinpoint accuracy. In a way, the space race was a demonstration of that technological progress.
And as a result of all that, we now have mutually assured destruction.
It's the ultimate form of deterrence. No one's going to launch their nukes knowing they'll be obliterated in return.
I don't know. The chance of somebody hitting the button by mistake is never zero.
Lo que decía, ¿no? Tener el Metal Gear es la medida disuasoria. Nadie ataca si sabes que el rival te lo puede regresar. Por medio. La Guerra Fría y la paz.
You're right. Even with peace guaranteed by MAD, there's always the risk of an accident.
Nobody wants the world to end on account of some machines malfunctioning.
On the other hand, thanks to deterrence, we haven't had a world war since 1945. You gotta admit, it has been pretty peaceful.
Not that it matters to us.
People point at the nuclear arms and space races and call it a Cold War. I say if they're not shooting at each other, why not call it world peace?
Doesn't mean war is gone. Look at Korea. Look at Vietnam.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking in relative terms here. Besides, if war died out completely, we'd be SOL.
We're not warmongers.
And yet, we can't survive in a world that's at peace.
You got a point.
Te me has pillado, dice. No queremos guerras, pero si se acaban las guerras, se acaba la MSF. La situación en América Central. Ay, güey. La crisis de los misiles en Cuba.
So it's been more than 10 years since the Cuban Missile Crisis, huh?
I don't think we'll ever forget it.
No kidding. Those 13 days starting October 15th, 1962, were probably the closest we ever came to all-out nuclear war. The Russians deployed nuclear missiles to Cuba. America responded with a naval blockade. Then Russia shot down an American spy plane. I was still a teenager back then, but I remember what it felt like to be one step away from nuclear war. The adults were freaking out.
If it wasn't for the Cuban Missile Crisis, there might never have been an Operation Snake Eater. And...
What's the matter, Snake? It's not like you to get all hypothetical.
I guess not. It was the reassessment after the missile crisis that paved the way for the hotline between Moscow and Washington, and also for détente. That's irony for you.
El Tratado de Tlatelolco.
The Treaty of Tlatelolco was enacted to make Latin America into a nuclear-free zone. It bans the testing, use, manufacture, production, acquisition, storage, and deployment of nuclear weapons. The impetus was pretty obvious. The series of crises triggered by the deployment of nukes in Cuba.
Not hard to imagine. Those 13 days had the whole world frozen in fear.
Of course, the country that started it all, Cuba, hasn't actually ratified it yet.
Still, the treaty's backed by over 20 countries. Anyone flouting at risk becoming an international pariah.
True. Opinol would investigate, no doubt. I heard they used Japan's 3 non-nuclear principles as their model when they drew up the treaty. I think the Treaty of Tlatelolco might have been their way of asking nuclear powers not to use nukes against them. That's the biggest difference between the treaty and the 3 principles. I guess you could call it a 4th principle.
Okay. No.
So
no.
It's been...
Pensé que sí iba a ser chiquito. La abolición del ejército en Costa Rica.
So Costa Rica abolished its army back in, what, 1949? Pretty gutsy move for a Central American nation at the time.
Yeah, well, they'd just come out of a civil war. I'm sure they were driven by a desire to avoid another tragedy like Paz said. But I think they had a more compelling reason. Army coup d'etat are a way of life in so many Latin American countries. Imagine seeing that up close.
No army, no coup. Makes sense.
Plus, their economy was in ruins. So they honestly didn't have any money to spend on an army anyway.
Yeah, but weren't they on less than friendly terms with Nicaragua?
Yeah, and in fact, Nicaragua did end up invading. But the Civil Guard fought back and the OAS brokered a ceasefire. The US and the rest of the OAS had their back, and they used it to full advantage. For a quarter century, they survived in the powder keg of Central America. That must have taken some serious diplomacy, even if the Civil Guard is pretty decked out for a police force.
Must be tough to be a country without an army.
Las actividades de la CIA en América Central.
Hey, Snake, mind if I ask you something?
Since when did you start asking permission?
So, you used to be part of a CIA paramilitary unit, right?
That's right.
Ever do any ops in
right.
Central America?
No, not personally. But there were other units who did all kinds of stuff.
I remember the Bay of Pigs invasion back in '61. The papers had a field day with it.
Operation Zapata. That was the CIA code name. The whole thing went south.
Then there was Che Guevara, being hunted down in Bolivia. I heard the CIA had a hand in that, too.
There were several units similar to mine. MSP, SOG. They'd recruit former special forces, train them as intelligence agents, and send them on deniable covert paramilitary operations.
Se ve más,
One of
más
those
facciones
units
como
trained the
Fox.
Bolivian army in counter-guerrilla tactics.
And then had them shoot El Che.
So the story goes.
Órale. ¿Cómo se pronuncia la CIA? La CIA.
Around here they say La CIA instead of
CIA.
CIA, huh?
Nothing strange about it. That's how it's pronounced when you read it in Spanish.
It has the feminine noun ending a, so they use the article la.
La CIA es
Apparently
femenina.
some people have taken to using the term UCLA.
That's a new one to me. What's it mean?
It stands for Unilaterally Controlled Latino Assets.
Meaning they're local agents?
Yeah, that's the idea. Washington uses them like pawns. Nobody knows who they really are or what they're doing.
Ahora. No, pues si no saben nosotros qué. La relación entre la CIA y la KGB.
Can you believe the CIA and KGB were actually in cahoots?
Never thought I'd see that at the station chief level. But I'd heard stories of operatives in the field being on friendly terms.
Seriously?
Most espionage takes place in political hotspots, as you'd expect. But there aren't that many of those kinds of places, especially in a small country. Hang around long enough, and you're bound to run into fellow spies. Like it or not. You start saying hello, and soon enough you're eating dinner together.
Strange bedfellows, huh?
Well, I don't know about that. At any rate, this kind of fiasco is what happens when spies get too familiar.
No sé nada de eso,
Hard to
dice.
believe. But some people
Eva.
will betray anyone and anything if it suits their interests.
The strength of human is in its appeal to human emotions, but its weakness is in its susceptibility to those same emotions. That's why the tide in the intelligence world is shifting towards SIGINT, a network of cold digital data, where feelings are irrelevant.
Enemigos en la cama. No, no sé nada de eso, dice. Un gran líder, el Che Guevara.
So I hear Amanda mistook you for Che Guevara, Snake. That's not too bad, huh?
Yeah,
No está
right.
mal.
I'm not even worthy of polishing his boots.
Don't be so modest. From where I'm standing, your men see you as a great man.
As great as the century's most complete human being.
That's Sartre, right? Well, there's hardly been a more iconic figure of his times than Che.
Oh, he was more than that. He was a true revolutionary and a great warrior.
I'm with you there. Can you believe that when he first went to Cuba with Fidel, they had only 12 guys with them?
But they rallied. They brought in new recruits, won the support of the peasants, expanded their organization.
And in the end, they overthrew the Batista regime.
People flocked to them because they were honest. They won because they were strong. Those are the qualities that make men great.
You know, we're kind of in the same boat they were back then. Here we are, a handful of mercenaries taking on an army backed by the United States.
Yeah, we've got a long way to go.
But we've got to keep on going. It's not just about winning in battle. You need to think about recruiting people and growing this operation.
Got it.
He got it. Las huellas del Che.
Hey, Snake, I've been thinking. Maybe Che couldn't find a place for himself outside the battlefield either.
How so?
He led the Cuban Revolution to victory. That's quite an accomplishment. He could have called it quits there and nobody would have blamed him. But he left behind a loving family and a cabinet post to plunge back into the struggle. First in the Congo, then in Bolivia where he met his end.
You're overthinking things. Che went back to the battlefield because he was needed there. Read his farewell letter, then you'll understand.
Some say he was too idealistic to fit in with the government.
Too many scruples, most likely.
Maybe so, but I still can't help thinking the reason you look up to Che is because you see something of yourself in him. You left your country behind and plunged into battle. You wander from one battlefield to another, going wherever you're needed.
Che was a revolutionary as well as a warrior. He took up arms to fight for his beliefs. I don't do what I do for any ideology. I'm a warrior. Nothing more. Nothing less.
Okay, boss. You're right. Just wanted to see how we stacked up against a real hero.
¿Cómo muestran ese respeto, no? De no decir somos más o somos iguales. Es como que estaba pensando a ver si éramos iguales que aquel héroe. La historia de guerra de guerrillas. De la guerra de guerrillas.
Boss, did you ever read Che Guevara's book, Guerrilla Warfare?
I can't remember if I got to that one or not.
You should have. That's why I lent it to you. A lot of the guerrilla tactics it covers apply to sneaking missions too. Che was one of the first people to articulate the theory of guerrilla warfare. T.E. Lawrence, Lawrence of Arabia, was another one. And Mao Zedong and his On Protracted War. Theory aside, Nicaragua's General Sandino was one of the first to put guerrilla tactics into practice, which explains why the Sandinistas named themselves after him.
If you think about it, guerrilla warfare itself has been around since ancient times. There's only so many ways a small group can upset a large army.
There was a samurai in Japan who excelled in guerrilla warfare.
No kidding.
Tsunoki Masashige. He was a warrior who lived in the medieval era. He used unconventional tactics to help overthrow the Kamakura shogunate.
Like what?
Trojan horse-style maneuvers and decoys to confuse the enemy. The best one was when the enemy was climbing the castle walls. He dumped boiling water and human excrement on them.
Sounds great. Let's put it in the MSF playbook.
You're not serious, are you, boss?
Why not? We've got plenty of crap to unload.
Yeah. I'll think about it.
Lol. Un momento, ¿dónde está conectado el drenaje de la Mother Base? ¿Por qué lo dice? El mate. Es lo que decía ayer ahorita lo del mate. Los mates, ¿no? Están poniendo de moda mucho en TikTok y esas madres.
What's wrong, Kaz? You sound beat.
Yeah, the problems never seem to end around here.
You should take a break. Share a cup of mate with the other guys. It'll give you a chance to connect with them.
I wonder if Che and his men ever sat around and drank mate.
I bet they did. Che was famous for his love of the stuff.
El popote.
Oh, man, whoever thought of this was a genius. You can put it in a gourd and carry it around, and there's a special straw with a filter attached so you can drink it any time.
That's not all. It's full of essential vitamins and minerals, too. Nice to have in a guerrilla war when food is short.
Me tientas,
Yeah.
me tientas.
Wish I had a chance to share some with the blonde Parisienne when I was out hiking.
Well, how do you know about that?
It takes a thief.
¡Ah!
Or should I say it takes a snake to know one. Snake.
Y ya se enteró de lo de Eva. La visita del Che a Hiroshima.
The year the Cuban Revolution was won, Che visited Japan as a member of an economic delegation. While he was there, he visited Hiroshima.
Hiroshima.
Since he was there to discuss economic issues, Hiroshima wasn't part of the original itinerary. Some said the Ministry of Foreign Affairs didn't want to let him go, but he went anyway. He snuck out of his hotel and took an overnight train.
Traveling guerrilla style. Sounds like Che, all right.
He visited the Peace Memorial Museum and the Atomic Bomb Survivors Hospital. Apparently it gave him quite a shock. As a doctor, it must have been painful for him to see how the victims suffered.
Nukes destroy everything.
He was quoted as saying, "They put you through this, and still you do whatever America says." Those words really hit me hard, especially when I think of my mom. He said something else, too. Let us all love Hiroshima and its people.
I can believe it. Che never managed to numb himself to other people's pain. That's why people loved him. And why he died.
Ah, está interesante. Bueno, yo me estoy entreteniendo. Están interesantes los archivos. La bufanda.
That bandana you're always wearing. That thing's a real antique. Ever think about getting a new one?
This one's fine.
Come on, we can't have our boss wearing a raggedy old thing like that.
It was a gift, okay? It wouldn't be right to get rid
Ah, es la
of it.
bufanda.
It was. Okay then.
Con razón está tan ancha. No es
Speaking
una
of
bandana.
which, Che supposedly had a black scarf he used to take everywhere with him.
A scarf?
One of his comrades gave it to him when he broke his arm in battle.
No es.
Che used that silk scarf as a sling. And the comrade who gave it to him became his second wife.
Alida, right?
Even after his arm healed up. He never went anywhere without that scarf. What about you? You get that bandana from someone special?
No, nothing like that. It's important to me. That's all.
Es un símbolo. Ah, como se ve bien ancha, yo pensé que era la bufanda, pero no. Constituciones pacíficas. La Constitución Pacífica de Japón. Pom, pom.
You were saying Japan has a peace constitution too.
Yep. Japan renounced war in Article 9 of its constitution, aspiring sincerely to an international peace based on justice and order. The Japanese people forever renounce war as a sovereign right of the nation, and the threat or use of force as a means of settling international disputes. In order to accomplish the aim of the preceding paragraph, land, sea, and air forces, as well as other war potential, will never be maintained. The right of belligerency of the state will not be recognized.
You know it by heart.
Some things you never forget.
Impressive. There were some parts I didn't quite get, though. Like the whole means of settling conflicts thing.
Yeah, that's been the subject of debate. Whether or not it forbids any and all use of force. The current Constitution was originally drawn up under the Allied occupation. The first draft was even submitted by Allied GHQ. So naturally, there are some who feel the Constitution was imposed on Japan by foreigners.
Things like that are never simple. Same for every country, I guess.
One thing's for sure, though. Not having an army let Japan focus on economic recovery after the war. In that sense, it's the same as Costa Rica.
Okay. El artículo 9 y las fuerzas de autodefensa de Japón.
Kaz, you were in the Japanese Self-Defense Force, right? I thought that Article 9 you were talking about earlier prevented Japan from having an army.
Yeah, and that's another subject of controversy. The Self-Defense Force is an organization for the purpose of defense. Article 9 of the Constitution does not deny Japan's right to self-defense. Therefore, the SDF is constitutional. That's Tokyo's official stance.
Sounds complicated.
Call it what you will. It's a distinctly Japanese way of interpreting things.
Pues sí, es una manera. El Tratado de Seguridad entre Japón y Estados Unidos.
The U.S. has military forces stationed in Japan, right?
Right. Even though the Allied occupation ended, American forces are still stationed there under the U.S.-Japan Security Treaty.
Unlike Costa Rica.
Part of it stems from the occupation, but Japan also occupies a key strategic position from America's perspective. It's next door to the Soviet Union, and close to China and North Korea as well. It's integral to the security of Pacific Asia. For America, Japan represents a barrier against communism.
What about for Japan?
As you might expect, there's deep-rooted opposition to the alliance. In 1960 and 1970, when the treaty was up for revision, there were mass protest movements against it, especially in Okinawa. The U.S. only gave it back to Japan 2 years ago, and American bases are still concentrated there. It's a heavy burden for the Okinawans to bear.
Then why don't they scrap the treaty?
Lots of reasons. There's the imbalance of power with the U.S., of course, and if Japan pulled out, they'd be losing the nuclear umbrella America provides. And as for whether the JSDF could defend the country after the Americans left, I really couldn't say. Costa Rica is in a similar situation. They depend on the Inter-American Treaty of Reciprocal Assistance, the so-called Rio Pact.
So, the countries with peace constitutions end up having to rely on other countries' armies. Kind of ironic.
On the flip side, Not everybody in America is satisfied with it either. Some people argue Japan is freeloading off America's security guarantee. And you know how Japan's industrial exports are making inroads in the States.
Yeah, I've got a Japanese camera myself. Best damn camera around.
Japan's low defense spending allows it to invest more in economic recovery and expand its share of the American market. That's a bitter pill for Americans to swallow.
Snake. El paraguas nuclear.
You know that today, Japan is under the American nuclear umbrella.
Right.
The U.S. vowed to retaliate against any country that launches a nuclear strike against an allied country. That promise deters nuclear attacks against America's allies, hence the term nuclear umbrella.
Okay.
But suppose the Russians nuke Tokyo. Would America really nuke Moscow in return? If they did, the Soviet Union would undoubtedly retaliate. Would Washington really be willing to risk having a bomb dropped on itself in order to avenge Japan? I'm not so sure.
Don't tell me you're still worried about Japan. After all these years?
It's not that.
To be honest, I'm not convinced either. But Moscow faces the same dilemma. Maybe Washington wouldn't retaliate on Japan's behalf. Then again, maybe it would.
So you're saying Moscow wouldn't want to risk being attacked either?
The whole concept of nuclear deterrence is entirely hypothetical to begin with. When you get down to it, it's all smoke and mirrors.
Todo está en un hipotético caso, ¿no? En un y si. ¿Y si se atreve? ¿Se atrevería? Si yo ataco a un aliado, lo otro su aliado de la... No, si yo ataco a alguien, su aliado se atrevería a vengarse. Como dice Snake, todo es especulación. Los 3 principios antinucleares.
Japan shall not possess, manufacture, or allow the introduction of nuclear weapons into Japan. Those are the 3 non-nuclear principles set forth by the Japanese government.
Allow the introduction? That's funny. Some of the U.S. warships that visit Japanese ports are armed with nukes. Or are you going to tell me they transfer them at sea onto other ships every time they visit?
You raise a good point, Snake. But the Japanese government doesn't recognize it as such. The introduction of nuclear weapons into Japanese territory would need to be agreed upon in advance. America hasn't made any such agreements. Therefore, they aren't bringing nukes into Japan. That's the official excuse.
All right.
Doesn't sound like much of an excuse to me.
I don't blame you. Keep in mind, though, Japan suffered actual nuclear attacks. Anti-nuke sentiment there runs deeper than you think. I suppose the government's not really in a position to admit that sort of thing.
Ok. Las fuerzas de autodefensa de Japón.
So tell me, Kaz, how's the self-defense force you were in different from an army?
The JSDF is set up for national defense. It's not configured for aggression against other countries. It's what you'd call exclusive defense.
Exclusive defense?
It's the fundamental strategic posture of the JSDF. No preemptive attacks. Only the minimum defensive action necessary after an enemy attacks.
Anything defined as self-defense, then?
The JSDF originated as the National Police Reserve. Back then, American forces stationed in Japan were being sent over to fight in the Korean War. So in a sense, the NPR was filling a gap.
Police, huh? Reminds me of the Costa Rican Civil Guard.
Yeah, exactly. They're also dispatched to provide disaster relief. The year before I joined, they had a hell of a time trying to rescue some buses that got hit by landslides.
Ok. ¿Por qué dejó caer las fuerzas de autodefensa de Japón?
So why'd you quit the JSDF?
Because I didn't have a reason to be in Japan anymore.
A reason?
My mom had died
se
3
murió
years
su mamá.
earlier, so I didn't have to care for her anymore. With her gone, there was no point hanging around in Japan.
Yeah, but a man with your talents could have risen pretty high in the ranks, I imagine.
I don't know what they made of me. Could be it actually alienated me from the brass. And personally, I could never get used to the idea of exclusive defense.
Meaning?
On a strategic level, I can see how a country could go with the exclusive defense model used by the JSDF, and I've got nothing against my fellow soldiers who believe in it. On a tactical level, though, it just rubbed me the wrong way. To put it simply, I was itching for a real fight.
I figured.
And I felt as long as I was in the JSDF, I'd never be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with my father, who was in the U.S. Army. Seeing Yukio Mishima's suicide didn't help either.
Yukio Mishima, the guy who wrote The Temple of the Golden Pavilion.
The way he questioned the status quo hit home with me. Not that I admired his vision or anything, but it did get me thinking, that's for sure.
Ahora, un segundo. ¿Qué pasó, Grelian? Ya andas de perico. Autografía, funciones de la Mother Base.
Don't forget to give the MSF staff assignments. Where you place people will determine how Mother Base grows.
Right.
That goes for me too. Assign me wherever you think is best.
You? I thought you were second in command.
Don't worry, I've got that covered. But MSF is still small, and I don't have the leisure of sitting around on my butt all day.
I see your point, but...
Not to brag or anything, but I kick ass at whatever job you gave me. Put me in the area you want to focus on developing most. I'll take real good care of the staff there.
Easy, Kaz.
Tranquilo, Kaz. Los primeros años.
March 10th, 1945. 381,300 cluster bombs were dropped on Tokyo. Japanese houses at the time were almost all made of wood. In that single day, a third of Tokyo burned to the ground. My mom lost her family and home in that raid. She had to move to Yokosuka and live with her cousin. The B-29s kept on coming, razing other major cities throughout Japan without mercy. Then, in August, they dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and Japan surrendered to the United States at last. After that, Yokosuka was flooded with American soldiers come to occupy the country. My mother was still in her mid-teens, and she learned from her cousin how to survive in that town, by servicing the troops. That's how she met my father, and how I was born. My father was an officer serving with the government section of Allied GHQ under General Whitney. Whitney was known as MacArthur's shadow, and my father rode his coattails to a pretty high rank. While he was in Japan, he treated my mom like a wife. After he went back to the States, though, she never heard from him. I wasn't born until after he went back. My mom raised me as a single mother. She used the money my father left her to open a shop selling cigarettes and stuff to occupation troops. It was a decent living, but I didn't have citizenship. They're working to change the law now, but back then if your father was unknown, you couldn't get onto the Japanese family register. And in Japan, that means you can't be Japanese. So as I watched the American soldiers around town, I said to myself, I'm a son of America, the victor. My hair and eyes were different from the skinny, downtrodden Japanese around me. I told myself I'd leave this country someday and return to my true homeland. When I was around 10 years old, my mom fell ill, pretty much leaving me to run the shop in her place. One day I found a single picture of my father in the back of a drawer in the shop. I'd show it to the American soldiers who came into the store. A few years went by before one of them told me who he was. I know him, that's Miller. I started asking other guys, do you know where Miller is now? Can anybody tell me where Colonel Miller is now? Turns out he'd left the service and was making a living as an instructor for soldiers in Virginia. It was one of his students who finally told me that. I wrote him a letter in English. I'm your son. I want to go to the United States. Day after day I waited. Then just when I was about to give up, the post office delivered my future to the door. My father sent me some money. I thought my dream was going to come true. I was only thinking of myself. So I went to my bedridden mother and convinced her to let me go. My father arranged for a car to pick me up. It was jet black. When the neighborhood kids who'd always made fun of my hair saw it, their jaws practically hit the ground. I put my mom in a hospital and went on my own to America. When I met my father for the first time, he was living alone in a big house. He told me he'd lost his son, his American son, in Vietnam. He showed me a picture of my older brother. I guess that and his divorce left my father feeling lonely, which is probably why he finally took an interest in me. He'd retired from teaching. He was stooped over, could hardly walk, but he gave me 2 things: the name Miller and money for school. I used it to learn English and then go to college. America was exhausted from years of fighting in Vietnam. They were waging war in a foreign land, while at home, people were screaming for peace. Right after I graduated, I went back to Japan, alone. My father refused to see my mom. It was the first time I'd seen her in years, and she wouldn't even look at me.
Ya.
At first, I thought she was mad at me, but that
Que
wasn't
ya andaba senil la
it.
señora,
Disease
¿no?
had
Ya ni se
taken her
acordaba de él.
mind. A disease she got while she was young and desperate. She didn't even know who I was. I said, "Mom, it's me, Kazuhira." As I spoke, the sound of my own voice rang in my ears. Katsuhira, the name my mom gave me. It means peace in Japanese. I was Japanese. At least, I was the son of this tiny Japanese woman. It was then, for the first time, that I understood the reason, the emotion that inspired my mother to give me that name. She'd watched her hometown and family go up in flames. Her body and her mind were ravaged by war. And yet she chose to have a child named Peace, with a man who was once her enemy. Japan lost the war. But what good is war as a measure of a country? Since the war and up until the oil shock last year, Japan's economy has grown every single year. It's on its way to becoming a stronger country than ever. I stayed in Japan and joined the JSDF. I was 22 at the time. I did it to pay our bills. But it wasn't just that. I could have found work anywhere, and I knew it. And still, I couldn't think of anything else to do with myself. 2 years later, I didn't have to worry about Mom's hospital bills anymore. I left the JSDF and went back to the States. My father was already dead and buried. I was told he'd shot himself in the head. America crushed Japan, but it also crushed my father. My American dream was over. After that, I drifted around and, well, you know the rest. GHQ made women like my mother. It made Japan's peace constitution and the JSDF. And it made me. I was spawned by war, but I don't want to die in one. I won't die for a country, and I won't live like a pauper. I won't have my fate decided by some family register. So as long as I stick with you, boss, I've got a good feeling none of that will happen.
Ah, justo en el cocoro, güey. No, lo que pasa es que ya sabemos cómo acabó, entonces. Ay, güey, ya, el pobrecillo. ¿Cómo se conocieron Miller y Snake?
Life's funny sometimes, isn't it?
What brought that on?
We first met as enemies on the battlefield. And now here we are fighting side by side.
You mean Colombia?
Yeah. After I quit the JSDF, I made my way there and got myself a position as a drill sergeant for a band of revolutionaries, despite the fact that I'd never seen a day of combat.
I see you had the gift for talking business in Spanish even back then.
Oh, come on, stop it. You're making me blush. Unlucky for me, though, you were in the service of the Colombian army. I remember it like it was yesterday. It all happened in an instant. You guys ambushed us, and half my unit was taken out. My mind went totally blank. I couldn't keep it together. My whole unit was wiped out, and I was left half dead from a bomb blast.
Then, as I was leaving, you yelled out at me. I came all the way from Japan to be here. My place is on the battlefield. Then you asked for my help, saying, I want to be the one to end it. I remember being surprised that there were still samurai in Japan.
Ah, se quiso volar solo con una granada, ¿no?
I had a grenade hidden under me. But even then, you were too fast. The second I pulled the pin, you grabbed the hand I was using to hold the grenade with both palms.
I didn't want it to go off. I'd heard samurai were a proud bunch. I wanted to know why one of them would stoop so low as to try to take his opponent with him.
And I said, I'll never lose again. We'll never lose again.
Yeah. We'll do whatever it takes, but we'll never be beaten again.
Then, I passed out from the blood loss. When I woke up, I was in your camp's infirmary, stuck full of tubes. Why'd you save me? Your enemy after I tried to kill you.
Because you swallowed your pride and fought with everything you had.
I just didn't want to lose.
You found a way to fight back, even in the face of death, even when you knew you were going to die. That's the mark of a true warrior. It's not about gain and loss, or victory and defeat. I looked at the way you lived your life and saw the path I needed to take. As a warrior.
Wow. I never knew that. And that's why you...
I realized then that the battlefield doesn't only divide people into allies and enemies. Sometimes it tells you more than just who's an ally or who's an enemy. Sometimes it helps reveal your true comrades.
Like you and me, huh?
That's right. And 2 years later, here we are.
Los fundamentos de la infiltración. Misión de infiltración.
You probably heard this a million times, Snake, but you should always avoid combat with the enemy when possible.
Right.
We're outnumbered and in unfamiliar territory. We won't survive long in a straight fight, even with you on our side.
I know. Avoiding combat is rule number 1 in a sneaking mission.
That's right. Don't let the enemy know where you are, and attack only when necessary, using hit-and-run tactics to cripple them. It's the essence of guerrilla warfare.
El uso eficaz del rescate Fulton.
Can I ask you a favor, Snake?
If you ask nicely.
To make MSF bigger, we need to do some recruiting.
Yeah. What's your point?
I want you to avoid killing enemy soldiers as much as possible and send them back using Fulton
pacifista,
recovery.
tío, no he
Not
matado a
much we
nadie.
can do with a corpse except give it a funeral.
Obviously.
Put him to sleep, knock him out, hold him up even. And if you do have to fight, try to leave them near death instead of dead.
And then use the Fulton recovery system. Sounds easy enough.
You know what'd be really nice, though? If we had a way to Fulton recover anybody at any time.
Ah, ya sé por dónde vas. Registros corporales.
You can steal items from soldiers by putting them to sleep or knocking them out and then doing a body check. Get close to the unconscious soldier and press the action button when you see the icon. Or you can sneak up on them from behind and do a hold-up. It also works if the soldier's near death. Keep in mind, though, if you wait too long, you'll have a dead soldier instead of a dying one. And you can't do a body check if you're holding the Fulton recovery device either. So don't try.
Sí, me pasó ayer. Los quería revisar, los quería fultonear y los revisaba. Hacía lo contrario. Cargar peso. Esto no he visto que me afecte. Bueno, es que no cargo mucho peso en el juego, de hecho.
Don't carry any more gear than you need. If you try and stuff your entire arsenal into your backpack, it'll be too heavy and your mobility will be impaired. You'll only be hurting yourself.
I know. Take only what you need. Every rookie knows that.
You can check the weight of your gear before heading out. So make sure you do.
Got it.
Sí he visto que lo del peso de cada arma y todo eso, pero no he visto que me afecte. No sé si porque no llevo armas tan pesadas. Nada más en los combates contra tanques y eso, o no sé, la verdad. Temblores al apuntar. Ah, lo del pentasimil.
Even a born warrior like you gets hand tremors, Snake. It happens even when you're full of stamina, and it only gets worse when you're tired, especially with larger, heavier weapons. Obviously, you'll get better aim crouching than you will standing. And when you use a scope, setting your sights on a single point will gradually give you a more precise aim. As we develop better weapons at Mother Base, though, you may gain access to new, low-tremor versions of the same guns. So if you expect the shakes to be a problem, you might want to put some resources into R&D.
Ah, okay.
I'll keep it in mind. Then again, the more you use a weapon, the more your hands get used to it. Sometimes it pays to be faithful to your gun.
Ok, subo de nivel con un arma. Ok. Ok, se reducen los temblores. Aquí no hay pentasemín, yo me quiero dopar, maldita sea. ¿Cómo vestirse para una misión?
Choosing the right uniform is crucial. Pick one that
Aquí no he
matches the
usado el
mission
camuflaje
objective
para
and
nada,
your
la
own
verdad.
combat style.
¿Eso fue todo? Ah, ok. El uniforme de la selva.
Jungle fatigues are made for jungle combat. They
Oh,
provide
el uniforme de la selva está
protection
hecho para el
and let
combate
you
en la
carry a
selva.
fair number of weapons. Your standard uniform, basically. The distinguishing factor is that your camo index will vary a lot, depending on the area. Wear a pattern that makes you blend in with your surroundings, and your camo index goes up.
Okay.
Wear something that clashes, and you'll stick out like a sore thumb.
Pick the right pattern for the occasion. Sigint used to lecture me on it all the time.
En Metal Gear 3, claro, claro. Traje de infiltración.
The sneaking suit is a specialized uniform for stealth missions. It provides excellent camo in any stage. Even better, you won't make a sound when you walk.
Ooh, so I won't need to tiptoe all the time.
And to top it off, it also makes your wounds heal faster. The fabric exerts just the right amount of pressure on your body to help stop bleeding.
Huh. Not a bad little trick.
Es como el traje especial de Snake y de Raiden. Uniforme de combate.
The battle dress uniform is the opposite of the sneaking suit, in that it's specialized for combat. It lets you carry plenty of weapons and ammo, and provides excellent protection. Not the best choice for sneaking, but if you feel like playing one-man army, this is the uniform of choice.
Ok.
Looks pretty damn heavy.
It is. You won't be able to move as fast with it on, meaning it's not good for running away either. Keep that in mind.
Me serviría en las misiones de los tanques, igual. Desnudo.
Naked. That's exactly what you are with this uniform. The pants are the same as the jungle fatigues. Obviously, since you're exposing your bare skin, your defense and camo index are gonna be low. On the plus side, it's so light you can move around quicker.
Good for her. Showing off muscles, too.
Hey, Snake, I heard they gave you your old code name because you used to run
Naked
around with your
Snake.
shirt off. Is that true?
Don't believe everything you hear. They called me naked because I went in without gear or food. I had to procure everything on site.
You mean they sent you into the jungle without even a pair of pants? On a halo jump from 35,000 feet? Sweet Jesus, you are a legend.
You're busting my balls, aren't you, Kaz?
Little bit, yeah.
Hilarious.
A veces sacan unos comentarios, son tan sencillos, pero me causan tanta gracia. Los modos cooperativos, esto pues no creo que importe tanto, pero a la más son un chingo. Pero pues a ver, quiero saber la información también.
Cooperative operations, or co-ops for short, is the term for taking on missions in teams of 2 or more.
Ese es el modo historia, pero bueno, las misiones, pero para dos.
Even a single teammate is great to have in enemy territory.
And there are actually quite a few things you can't do by yourself. You can help each other climb walls, divide up mission roles.
Órale, eso no lo sabía.
On the other hand, if one of you is spotted, the other one's screwed too. And it's kind of tough for 2 people to hide in one small space.
Good point. But what's more important than anything is how close you are to your comrades.
Well said. Working as a 2-man cell can make the mission easier or harder, depending on how well you work together. It's also good to note that if you've got a clear, specific objective, it can be to your advantage to use an even bigger team. That said, teams of 3 or more run a much greater risk of being spotted.
Yeah. In a sneaking mission, the fewer people you have, the easier it is to get around.
Eso sí. Hay veces que te conviene traer compañeros y a veces no. El anillo de cooperación.
In co-ops, you can trade weapons and equipment with your teammates. You can also display your teammates' inventories from your weapon or equipment menu.
Oh.
Ammo is shared too, of course.
Ammo, sure. How about life? That also shared?
Yep. You all sink or swim together. Your teammate dies, you die. You need to be within a certain distance of each other to swap items.
Yeah, I know. I've been in this business so long I can virtually see that distance. Looks kind of like a ring in my head.
That's why you're the boss. Okay, we'll call it the co-op ring. And entering the ring will be called going co-op in.
Ok, como que para eso es. Formación serpiente.
Another thing. During a mission, you can assume what we'll call the snake
Dejas apretar el
formation.
triángulo, ¿no?
Same as your code name, but probably not standard operating procedure for a guy who specializes in going solo.
Damn right. There's only room for one snake.
In co-ops, though, it's a highly effective formation. The signal for snake formation is to tap your teammate on the shoulder.
Can't form up until you're close enough to reach out and touch someone.
Entering snake formation is called going snake in. When you're snake in, the soldier at the front of the line controls movement. The soldiers in back focus on scouting and attack.
Oh, como que para eso funciona. O sea, tiene un chingo de funciones el juego que están pensadas muy bien, ¿no? Pero pues, uno que juega solito. La animación cardiopulmonar para revivirlos.
Just because your heart stops doesn't mean you're dead immediately.
Right. The heart just circulates blood through the body. But stopping it does cut oxygen supply to the brain. You'll be dead soon after.
Which is why we have CPR. Let's say your heart does stop. If someone performs CPR before your brain cells die, you can recover. In co-ops, when the life gauge drops to 0, it means you're in a near-death state. You won't be able to move or anything else. Performing CPR on near-death teammates can bring them back into action. Of course, performing CPR in the middle of battle isn't exactly safe. You're leaving yourself exposed. Even so, in co-ops, you and your teammates are all in the same boat. Don't think you can get away with leaving one of them behind.
I wouldn't think of it. And I'd expect them to do the same for me.
If you let all your teammates die during a mission, there'll be nobody left to save you.
And then, it's game over.
Ok. La camaradería.
Building trust with your teammates is essential to success in co-ops.
That goes without saying. I'm not gonna let somebody I can't trust cover my ass.
The measure of that trust is called camaraderie. Think of it as an indicator of how strong your bond is with your co-op's
Lo que
teammates.
hicimos en el modo
The
online, los
friendlier you
20,000
act toward them,
puntos.
the greater your camaraderie.
Give me an example.
Your camaraderie will be higher if you're co-op in than standing apart. Saving a teammate's life with CPR also strengthens your bonds with them. Things
Okay.
like hitting a teammate with friendly fire will cause your camaraderie to go down.
Ok.
Makes sense.
Camaraderie carries over from mission to mission. The next time you go co-ops in with the same guy, you'll start off strong. But be careful. If you keep taking new people with you on missions, your camaraderie with past teammates eventually reverts back to its original level.
Got it. I'll have to make sure to renew old friendships once in a while.
The performance benefits gained from snake sync in co-ops depend on your camaraderie. It's always best to keep things cool with your teammates.
Ok. Digo, ya no lo voy a usar, ¿verdad? Pero bueno. Sincronización Snake.
Stand still when you're snake in, and you and your teammates will start to get in sync.
In sync?
That's right. Stay still together and you'll enter snake sync mode. The synergy will give you a boost in performance. You'll move faster, recover faster, and have better camouflage.
In other words, we're at our best when we're in the same groove.
You got it.
Ya.
If you've got a big task ahead, can't hurt to take some time to get in sync. Like I said before, the benefits you get from snake sync depend on your camaraderie.
I hear ya. It's a lot easier knowing you've got someone you know and trust covering your back. Lets you focus that much more on what you have to do.
El heroísmo.
If camaraderie represents how much your teammates trust you, then heroism shows how high your reputation is.
Heroism.
That's right, heroism. Your reputation affects your ability to recruit new members to MSF. With higher heroism, it won't take as long to convince guys to join our cause and send them back by Fulton recovery.
También me llegan gente
So,
solitas a la
how do
base.
I get this
y me los
heroism
pido.
thing to go up?
Lots of ways. Complete tough missions. Avoid unnecessary bloodshed. And don't get caught by the enemy like a deer in headlights, or you'll never be heroic. Also,
Entendido.
getting out there and attacking the enemy in co-ops will boost your reputation among your teammates. Of course, it'll get the enemy gunning right for you, too. But don't sweat it. Be yourself. Be the boss. From where I'm standing, you're
Empiezas a
plenty
trabajar en mi
heroic
base si no
already.
los quieres.
Knock it off.
Si te los pudiera regalar, creo que te los mandaría, ¿eh? Pero nomás te puedo regalar objetos. Los personajes son intercambiables. Necesitarías darme uno. Armas de cooperativo.
Seems the R&D team's been busy working on co-ops only weapons.
Co-ops only?
Co-ops.
Like a gun with extreme firepower,
Como la
but only
railgun.
when 2 people fire it at once. I hear it's still in the concept stage.
I know some rocket launchers need 2 people to operate, but a co-ops only weapon.
Hey, if they come up with something good, you'll have that much more reason to go co-ops. Why don't you check in
Es
and
lo
see
que
how they're doing
buscábamos
every
en el
once in a
grupo de
while?
caza de trofeos, pero pues nadie tenía desarrollada las armas cooperativas. Ni las misiones. Mensajes cooperativos.
In co-ops, maintaining close communications with your teammates is crucial.
Absolutely. Losing track of each other on the battlefield is a good way for a unit to get itself wiped out.
Enemy positions, orders, distress calls. When communications break down, you get picked off one by one. Now about co-ops comms.
Co-ops comms?
It's a radio system for communicating with co-ops teammates. First, press the start button to open the menu. Then select co-ops comms. After that, press one button to choose a category, then another button to select the actual message. So basically, you use different combinations of 2 buttons to send different messages.
Easy enough.
You can set which messages go with which buttons during mission prep.
Sounds like it's going to be a pain to send messages until I get used to it.
Then why don't you assign co-ops comms to the select button? That should make things a little quicker and easier. Just go to select button under options.
I'll give it a try.
No había visto que estaba eso rápido. Gritos de batalla y el efecto Kotodama.
Snake, you familiar with the Japanese word kotodama?
No.
Kotodama.
Unfortunately, there's no direct equivalent in English. But to keep it simple, let's call it a sort of battle
Grito de
cry.
batalla.
Battle cry, huh?
Right. But kotodama is actually a deep Japanese concept. Koto means word, and dama means spirit. It signifies that words have power that affect our reality.
Are you feeling okay?
Guess I made it sound kind of like mumbo-jumbo, huh? Seriously, though, haven't you ever felt energized when a teammate cheered you on? Or the other way around? Ever had your legs cut out from under you by a thoughtless remark?
Poder de las palabras afecta a la
I know the
mente.
feeling. Words can have a powerful mental effect on people.
Same goes for co-ops comms. Offering praise to somebody could make them run faster than usual. Or make somebody who thinks they're done for get up and fight again. See what I'm saying?
I get the picture. So it works in reverse, too.
The powers of words are many and varied. Try using them for yourself.
Ok. Objetos especiales. La caja de cartón.
Snake, about cardboard boxes.
Ja.
It feels kind of weird me explaining this stuff to you.
La-
There have been a few recent developments in cardboard box technology.
Ha habido avances
So just
en
to
el
be
campo
safe,
de las
here
cajas de
goes.
cartón,
Go
dice.
on.
You can do much more with a box than just hide under it. You can put it someplace and leave it there.
Huh?
You
¿Así?
can get on top of it and use it to reach high places, or hide from the enemy in its shadow.
I like what I'm hearing so far.
No lo había
That's not
pensado,
all.
sinceramente,
You
en
can
el
even
juego.
put items in it and send them to co-ops teammates.
Really?
¿En serio?
I never thought of any of that. Damn. Is there anything a cardboard box can't do?
Todos deberían
Every
tener una
soldier should
caja.
have one.
Yeah, well, don't get too excited. This isn't exactly what they were made for.
Which reminds me, don't you think the boxes around here are a little on the big side?
You're right. I bet 2 people could fit under one box, if they packed in tight enough. They call them love boxes.
Love boxes?
Las
Of
cajas
course,
del
you don't
amor.
need a love box to fit 2 people inside. Any box of similar size will do.
2 personas en una caja.
Up to 2 people can fit inside a cardboard box.
Tell me how.
Move close to a box with a teammate inside, and
Ah,
an
esto sí.
icon
Por
will
ejemplo, la
appear.
cajita ambulancia.
Then press the action button. You'll stay inside as long as the action button is pressed.
So, same as snake formation, huh?
Exactly the same. In fact, when you put on a cardboard box when snake in, both of you can climb inside.
A box big enough to hold me and my buddy. These are fine times we live in.
Como
eh,
avanzan
God?
los tiempos.
Yeah. Sure, boss.
El tanque de cartón.
Snake, the R&D team came up with something new.
What's this?
It's a cardboard tank. It's got enough room for 2 people. Same
Ay,
as
Dios
any
mío.
other cardboard box. Apparently the guy in front drives, and the guy in back is the gunner.
Hold on, Kaz. Who the hell came up with this thing?
I'm sorry,
No lo
boss.
sé.
He meant well, I swear. I know it's nowhere as good as a real tank, but still.
It's brilliant.
Es genial.
The perfect synthesis of stealth and attack power.
Ay,
Compact,
Dios
elegant
mío.
design. The finest example of a weapon I've ever
Es
seen.
la mejor arma que he visto en la
Seriously,
vida.
Kaz, I need to meet the guy who made this. I want to shake his hand.
You serious? Snake, look at it.
It's a masterpiece in every sense of the
Mwah.
word.
It's like a
You
wow.
agree?
No, I...
What is that? A tank? I like it.
Paz?
I hate tanks, but this one I think I could get used to. I love
Ay,
that
Dios
it's a
mío.
zero-emissions vehicle. It will not hurt the forests of Costa Rica.
What?
Nice work, Kaz. I see I made the right choice making you second in command.
But is there something wrong with me?
What the hell is going on? Pobre Cas. Ah, está chingón el tanque. Ok, creo que se volvió mi archivo favorito, el tanque de cartón. Ay, Dios mío. El Walkman.
Snake, about that cassette player Galvez was carrying.
What about it?
That was no Russian imitation. It was the real deal. A prototype developed by a Japanese company.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
It's true. It had the Sony logo on it. The product name is Walkman.
Ahí tengo mi Walkman de Sony.
It's a
Pero es celular.
revolutionary new concept. Music you can listen to on the go. You can take it with you when you leave the house. I gave it a listen, and you wouldn't believe how good the sound quality is for something so tiny. And in stereo,
Como avanzan
too.
los tiempos, eh.
Think of the technology that must have gone into it. And that tape is equally amazing. The treble range is clearly superior to any other cassette ever made. Stylish, too.
How'd Galvez get his hands on a model that's not even out yet?
Beats me. It's not the kind of thing I'd expect some stodgy Soviet to be into.
Un rudo
Me
soviético.
neither. Tell you what, though, it's a fine piece of work. It'll let me listen to my music when I want, where I want.
I never thought I'd hear you say that, but I have to agree. Me? I'm a recording freak, and I always used to laugh at the idea of a portable player. But now that I've seen it in action, I've changed my mind. Being able to take your music with you, this could be the start of a revolution in music.
Could be.
I'm having the guys at Mother Base study and analyze it. Who knows? They might be able to come up with something even better.
Ah, ya. Ese sería un buen comercial, eh. Los soldados enemigos. Ay, madre santa. Eso es un chingo. Yo pensé que íbamos a acabar con lo de Kaz. Llevamos 1 hora de video. Y es solo lo de Kazuhira. Tipos de los soldados enemigos. Mercenarios de la CIA.
Amanda and her crew tell me they've managed to identify several different categories of mercenaries employed by the CIA.
Give me a rundown.
CIA.
Sounds like info I could use.
No problem. I'll go through them in order.
Con fotos porque soy subnormal, por favor. Patrullas y guardias.
The type of enemy you'll be seeing most is the type that patrols and guards a specific operational area. For the sake of convenience,
Gracias.
Amanda's crew calls the outdoor ones patrolmen and the indoor ones guards. They might look like they're just out for a stroll, but don't be fooled. They're sharper than they look. All of their senses are finely honed.
Ok.
Normally, they'll patrol along fixed routes, but when the alert level is raised, they'll assume a more efficient alert posture and focus on defending specific points. That's bad for you. Obviously, they can hold their own in combat, and with body
Sigo
armor,
pensando en
it'll
el
be
tanque
even
caja.
harder to take them down. If they're wearing a bulletproof helmet, you can forget about one-shot kills. Just a heads up.
Ok.
You'll need to be smart about using camo and pick your routes. The most important thing is to avoid detection.
Pasó aleatorio, ¿que no estabas dormido? Y ahora Metal Gear es un podcast. Exactamente. Buenas tardes, Ale. Bienvenido de vuelta. Estamos escuchando todos los archivos de información. Más o menos lo que hice con el Metal Gear Solid 1. No vi que estaban esos archivos hasta en la mañana. Llevamos 1 hora escuchando archivos y son solo los de Kaz. Es el primer personaje. Ahora los comandos.
When the enemy spots you and goes on alert, they may call in a backup strike team.
Ah, ya, son
These
los
assault
grises, ¿no?
teams are heavily armed, well-trained, and highly dangerous. Amanda's crew calls them commandos. Unlike the patrolmen, these guys will actively, relentlessly track and hunt you down like hounds.
Hounds to hunt a former foxhound.
Sabuesos persiguiendo sabuesos.
They won't give up easily even if they lose sight of you. They'll clear out any likely hiding places they come across. So don't get too comfy in one spot, or you might get caught again. Keep your eyes fixed on them and what they're doing. Also, be aware that commando gear includes body armor, so don't think you can deal with them by going in guns blazing.
All I've got to do is find an exposed weak point, and...
Exactly.
Nice. Me desperté hace una hora después del stream y me puse a jugar en la 3DS hasta las 6. Nah, yo sí me dormí como una hora después, una media hora. Soldados de choque.
There's one type of commando you really need to watch out for, and that's the kind toting shotguns.
Ah, okay.
They can take a few hits and still keep charging you. And believe me, you don't want them closing in between those shotgun blasts. When they start charging, you need to stop them immediately. Use something with serious stopping power.
Ok. Me está interesando esto de los tipos de soldados para ver a cuál secuestrar. Quiero que me digan, estos son como que los más chingones. Pues dirá, cuando vea esos güeyes son los que me voy a llevar a la Mother Base. Los rastreadores.
We've also confirmed that some of the enemies specialize in ambushes.
Son los de ayer, ¿eh? Aleatorio, ¿cómo chingados los ves? Ni yo sé cómo los vi.
Then when they see you, they'll swoop in. They fight pretty much like commandos, and will use clearing techniques to flush you out. In addition to wielding normal weapons, the scouts also carry wires.
Sounds like these guys know their
okay.
CQC.
Could be. We've been getting reports of CQC attacks being blocked by wires. Stay alert.
¿Me van a bloquear mis ataques? ¿Ya no los voy a poder reventar contra una pared? Oh my god. Yo digo, lleves a los que tengan pistolas más grandes y listo. ¿Qué tal y no la saben usar? Soldados con traje ghillie.
Scouts are outfitted with camouflage to help them hide.
Es el que tenía las hojas, ¿no?
Weird, like they've got seaweed growing all over them.
Sí.
Ghillie suits.
Not much difference between them and any other scout in terms of combat ability, but it does make them
ahorita
harder
llevamos
to spot.
hasta estos soldados vistos
sure
en la
it
historia.
does.
You've come across these before.
Yeah,
Sí.
the Soviet Union.
Y
The first
ahorita
time, it
también.
took me a full hour to find the guy and take him out.
Está hablando de...
Do you know what they shine?
¿Cómo se llama?
Shine? Like how?
De The End.
From their heads.
Their heads?
How about their hair? Do they have a lot of it?
What are you talking about? How the hell would I know?
How about a parrot? Did anybody hear a parrot squawk?
A parrot? Look, Snake, you're talking to the wrong guy. I mean, Cecile's the bird expert.
Referencias de
What am
las
I
GOT.
saying? You're not making any sense to begin with.
Never mind. It's a long story. I'll figure it out another way. Forget about it.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Tiene
Anyway,
un
we've
loro.
already lost too many good people to these surprise encounters. Make sure you don't end up like one of them.
Ok. Yo digo... Esos güeyes si no se les ve, no, sí están medios complicados. Los centinelas.
There are areas out there where enemy soldiers are deployed in multiple layers for extra coverage. More than a few of those will be attacking you from a distance, rooftops and far-off vantage points. Try not to get too distracted by nearby enemies, because you could be leaving yourself wide open to longer-range attacks.
I'll be careful.
Y ya. Los escoltas. Estos son los que estaban en el tanque.
Enemy
Los que
tanks,
estuvimos
armored
secuestrando ayer
vehicles, and
del
attack
helicóptero.
choppers are always accompanied by a combat squad. The soldiers aren't particularly tough on their own. What makes them formidable is how well they work together as a team. As if you didn't have enough to worry about with a machine.
Good. I like a challenge.
Yeah, we'll see how you feel when you
Son los que
actually have to
estuvimos
face them
aventando
in
por el
battle.
barranco.
Snake, whatever you do, don't let them surround you. The last thing you need is to get pushed into the vehicle's kill zone. And pay attention to what your enemies say to each other. You can improve your chances by figuring out what they're planning and using it to preempt their movements. You don't always have to go toe-to-toe to win a fight.
Creo que todos estos archivos de información es lo que me dicen mientras estoy en misión. Pero como voy viendo el juego, nunca me pongo a leer. Y como voy contratiempo para sacar la S, tampoco me pongo a leer. Como quieto ahí, vamos a ver. Que es algo que hacía mucho yo en los GTAs. O sea, empiezan a hablar o algo y ahí me quedo quieto hasta que terminan de hablar. Soldados con escudo.
Enemies carrying shields can be a real pain in the ass. To hear Amanda tell it. Trying to fight those bastards while they sit behind their shields
Apenas
taking
vamos a
pistol
entrar en la base
shots
donde
at
están
you
estos güeyes.
is enough to make you want to rip your hair out. Get around and flank them if you can. You might want to try
Exactamente, los
blinding
que
them
se
with
caían y se
smoke or
caían y se
stun
volvían a
grenades
caer.
first. Also, armor-piercing rounds should make it a little easier to punch through their shields. Use them if you got them.
Ok. Nivel de los soldados. Esto es lo que me interesa y lo ponen al
We
final.
know there are variations in the kinds of gear patrolmen and commandos wear, especially the body armor. Our scouts report that an enemy's defense and firing accuracy are directly proportional to how heavy their gear is.
Those must be the guys with the highest combat skills.
O sea, lo que dijo aleatorio. Que tenga el arma más grande es mejor.
Supposedly, it's pretty easy to tell the difference in gear just by looking. So remember, use extra caution when dealing with enemies wearing heavy gear.
Ya ve, ya ve. Lamento haber dudado de usted, hombre. Distancias en combate. Diferencias de alcance entre armas.
Enemies will try to fight you from different distances, based on the weapon they've got equipped. When you meet an enemy, get a good look at what they're carrying. It can make or break your chances in battle.
Ok. Corto alcance.
Enemies carrying handguns and shotguns will try and get in close. That makes them dangerous, but at the same time, easier to hit. Keep your wits about you, and you can turn a threat into an opportunity.
Vale. Medio alcance.
Enemies carrying assault rifles and machine guns will usually fire at you from farther away. Use whatever cover you can find, then return fire with a few well-placed shots of your own.
Ok. Largo alcance.
Don't expect enemies carrying sniper rifles or rocket launchers
Sniper
to get
rifle.
up close and personal. They'll be constantly moving from place to place looking for an opening to snipe at you. Tricky bastards. Eye for an eye,
Bastardos
tooth
listos.
for a tooth. Go with the sniper rifle. Make sure you
The
stay
sniper
out of their
rifle.
line of sight, and when they expose themselves, take them down.
Ok, esos son los archivos de Kazuhira Miller. A la madre. Hora y media de archivos. What the fuck. Y ahora seguimos con Peace. La verga. Literal un podcast. O sea, ¿cuánto tiempo va a ser de puro podcast? Imagínate. Costa Rica. Ah, madre. Vamos a hacer del CAS y de Paz. Ahorita vamos a acabar los de ella y ya me pongo a jugar porque está cabrón. Ya acabando la historia nos brincamos a otros dos personajes. Costa Rica. Costa Rica. ¿Y esto da porcentaje? No, nada más es para yo saber lo de la historia y todo lo que los datos que me puedan soltar. Esto no da nada de nada. Dice aleatorio. Ah, no dice nada. Regreso en 1 hora.
Costa Rica means rich coast in Spanish.
Is it true that Columbus was the one who came up with the name?
Your guess is as good as mine. But it is true that Columbus landed his ships near Limon back in the age of exploration. He wrote in his diary that when he landed, the indigenous showered him with gifts of gold. Hence the name. It sounds a little
Costa
strange
Rica.
to me.
Oh.
There's no way they could find that much gold in Costa Rica.
Columbus originally set sail in search of the legendary land of gold. Maybe he was just nuts about this stuff.
Costa Rica is rich enough without it. Look at the forests and the animals and the peace-loving people. That is what I want to protect.
I know how you feel.
Hace una muñequita paz, ¿no? La guerra civil.
Democracy took root in Costa Rica before anywhere else in Central America. Sure, we had coup and dictators and all, but never a total meltdown. That is, until 26 years ago.
The Civil War. Yeah. I understand you lost your grandparents.
It started with a dispute over alleged fraud in the presidential election. What I do not understand is why friend turned against friend when they could have talked it out instead.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
Even today, some buildings still have bullet holes from the Civil War. A quarter century later, and it is a tragedy we Ticos cannot forget, must not forget. It was the year after the Civil War that the army was constitutionally abolished.
Cambio de política.
A new president was elected this year, President Otaber. He seems to be distancing himself from the United States. He has limited the privileges granted to American banks, lifted the sanctions on Cuba. Our last president was so pro-US, people suspected he was in bed with the CIA.
You think the CIA is doing this because it feels threatened by the president's shift in policy?
It is possible, but would they really bring in such a huge army just because of that?
Part of our job is finding out.
Exactly. Thanks, Snake.
Peace.
Peace.
O sea, yo sé que me veo como imbécil. A lo mejor los que están viendo todo lo que digo, que dicen, ¿por qué está haciendo peace a cada rato? Es que una misión con paz, casi todas las frases que te dice terminan en peace. Sí. ¿Quieres literal decir peace? Ah, bueno. O sea, peace de paz en inglés. No peace de peace. La Universidad de la Paz.
So, are you a student at the University for Peace, Paz?
No, I am still in
Peace
high
de
school.
miaus,
But
exactamente.
Professor Galvez lets me visit his office and study with him every now and then. International law, security, conflict resolution, human rights. We study all these subjects and then use them to build the foundations of peace.
Peace.
Yeah, I get it. I just never heard the UN had a University for Peace before.
Oh, that. Well, to be precise, it is still being set up. They have started conducting research, but the UN has not passed the necessary resolution yet. Professor Galvez couldn't wait that long.
Oh,
Sure.
Costa Rica abolished its army and has also hosted the
Que es
Central
un,
American Court
es un
of
traidor,
Justice.
que es un
It is
agente.
the perfect place to build a university like ours. Don't you think?
El profesor Galvez.
Professor Galvez was a KGB spy? I
Yes.
thought he helped me out of genuine concern for Costa Rica's future.
you didn't know.
How
¿No lo
could I?
sabías?
Believe me, Snake. He introduced himself as a peace researcher at the university. He had an office and credentials and everything.
They're masters at creating cover personas. They think of everything. ID papers, jobs, sometimes even families. Don't feel bad you didn't see through it.
But you did?
From the first time we met.
I wish you had told me.
Sorry. I didn't know if it'd be right. You might have gotten mixed up in things you shouldn't.
That is impressive, though. Sizing him up at a single glance.
He reeked.
Reeked?
He had this unmistakable air about him. The air of someone who's been given a mission and will see it through no matter what.
Apesta
Like
espía.
me. I could just smell it.
That is
Olía como
amazing,
yo.
Snake.
I'm just kidding. It was his prosthetic hand. Why would a professor from a peace university need a tool for assassination?
LOL. ¿Sí? ¿En serio puede leer un espía? No, tenía una mano robótica bien pinche avanzada. O sea, no la tiene un profesor. El café de Costa Rica.
That coffee you guys brought us is pretty damn good.
Isn't it? Costa Rican coffee is the best. The Central Basin has all the right conditions for growing coffee. It is high in elevation, with steady temperatures and well-drained volcanic soils.
The professor certainly seems attached to it.
The coffee we drank on the boat coming over was awful. It put him in such a terrible mood.
Well, how come I never hear about Costa Rican coffee then?
Because
Ya no
it
me
gets
acuerdo dónde
bought up
probé
by
un café, si era de
wholesalers
Costa
and
Rica, de
mixed with beans from
Colombia.
other
Fuimos
countries.
a la feria de culturas
It is
amigas, la
really a
patrona y yo.
shame.
No
Such
me gusta,
wonderful
yo no
beans,
sirvo para
and
tomar
nobody
café.
knows they're from Costa Rica.
No me gustan los
They
sabores
should launch
amargos.
an ad campaign or
Creo que
something.
Agrelian sí.
Right. I hope one day people will recognize Costa Rican coffee for what
Yo
it
soy
is.
más de sabores
I'm
dulces.
with you there.
El café es feo. Bueno, para mí sí es feo. O sea, sí tomo café, pero con azúcar y eso. Se supone que el café se tiene que tomar sin azúcar. Y pues yo nunca había tomado café sin azúcar. O sea, sí de que le eché poquito azúcar o algo, ¿no? Pero nunca había tomado café sin azúcar. Y ese es café especialmente que se toma sin azúcar. Y ahí ves a mi novia, dale el trago. Ah, está buenísimo. Y yo, no va, qué chingón, va a estar bien bueno. En el mismo vaso casi lo saco. Y estaba el señor moreno, el grandote que nos sirvió el café. Yo digo, está bien rico, señor. No se ofenda. Me empalagan mucho los sabores dulces. Los tolero muy poco. Yo más que de cuando trabajaba en una fábrica y era todos los días café. Pues qué asco. Sí. Me gustan las comidas grasosas más que nada. Las grasas es el método por donde viaja el sabor. No tiene azúcar de Colombia. He escuchado que el azúcar de Colombia es muy rica, señor. No me regala unos 5 terrones. No más. Todas mis experiencias son con morenos altos. Esta no me acuerdo si ya la conté una vez. O sea, desviándome del tema, ¿no? En un 14 de febrero la patrona me mandó chocolates a la empresa donde trabajaba. O sea, buscó una página de Facebook, creo. Dulcería Juanita. No sé cómo se llama. No sé ni dónde era. Pero ahí te hacen el servicio, ¿no? De irla a llevar. 2 chocolatitos al enamorado, que era yo. En la empresa donde yo trabajaba era como una bodeguita, era un lugar pequeñito. Haz de cuenta como si fueras al taller de la esquina, ¿no? De tu cuadra. Más o menos así, un poquito más cerrado, con máquinas chidas para un tallercito, ¿no? Pero prácticamente era, en estructura era eso, rentábamos una bodeguita. Y pues el gerente, los vendedores pues se iban en carro a vender. Prácticamente me quedaba yo solo en la empresa, atendiendo mis máquinas, trabajando a la producción. No, pues yo iba hacia la salida, está la entrada del cuarto de oficinas, de ahí me asomaba así literal, nada más asomaba y estaba la cámara que se veía afuera, ¿no? Luego iban clientes a pedir cotizaciones y la chingada. Pero pues estaba yo solo. Voy, me asomo, está un señor ahí parado. Qué pedo. Y abro la puerta, un señor moreno, alto. Y yo así de... Y me dice... ¿Chas? Y yo... Ajá. Y da el paso para adelante, ¿no? Y me estira la mano y yo... ¡Ay, qué pedo! Es para ti. Y me da una caja rosita en forma de... O sea, yo no sabía qué pedo, ¿no? O sea, el pinche señor morenote acá. Es para ti, Chas. Me da la caja de corazón y yo, ¿qué pedo? Espérense. Ya me dice. Hace así como que se me queda viendo. Y hace la vuelta y se va. Y yo. ¿Qué está pasando? Y ya abro la pinche caja y unos chocolatitos y una nota con el nombre de la patrona. Feliz 14, te amo, la chingada. Y yo. Sí le dije, no qué pedo, ¿por qué me mandas un negrota que me mande unos chocolates? No, dice, no, pues es que no me dijeron quién te los iba a entregar. No sé qué ver. Pues yo, o sea, ahí está, se me salen las lágrimas. Me acuerdo del negro, no lo he podido superar. No, pues sí, dije, me asomo en la cámara, pinche señor Sote, dije, ay, güey. Sabe venir por una cotización, ¿no? Que abres la puerta y lo primero que te dice es tu nombre completo, ¿no? De pila y apellidos. De Justin 24. Pues sí, fue como que no mames, qué pedo. Y todos pensando otra cosa, lo suponía. El moreno quería contigo. Sí, no. Sí fue un pinche. De esos cuando te pasa la pinche. O sea, tu mente piensa en putiza, ¿no? Te imaginas un chingo de cosas. De no, ya valió. Van a secuestrar. Van a robar, no sé. O bien te roba o bien te la pone. Sí, lo pensé. Y luego como me quedaba, bueno, ya, tema aparte, ¿no? Luego como me quedaba varias veces a dormir ahí en la empresa, por así decirlo, me quedaba en el tercero. Pues yo sí le metía llave a todo, ¿no? Chinga su madre, va a ser que por aquí pasen, se quedan meter a robar la chingada. Sí me espantaba. Y varias veces llegué a soñar eso, o sea que... De que luego se metían ahí a la fábrica y me asaltaban, me mataban y así. Entonces pues, crean que no, ya traía el pinche mosquito de que puede pasar algo malo. ¿Cómo llegamos a este tema? No puede ser. ¿De dónde saqué este tema? Desde un Metal Gear. Ya asociado. Ya asociado. ¿Cómo? Sí, asociado. Sí. Ya tosiscado, decimos acá. Pero sí. No sé de dónde saqué ese tema, ahorita me acordé. Un segundito. Mi lagrimita se me salió. Disociado. Ah, ya. ¿Qué leí arriba? Disociado. Ya todo disociado. Eh. Yo dije, ¿por qué me llega tanto mensaje? La misma razón por la que no te gustaba ir en transporte público por ahí. Ah, pero es que, bueno, ahí este tema aparte. Cuando empecé a trabajar para allá, me tocaron. Trabajé allá. Trabajé en esa empresa como 8 años, casi. Me tocaron 5 o 6 asaltos a mano armada, entonces. Ahorita ando social. Ando ciscado de ir todavía para esos rumbos. Entonces sí me. Ahora sí que mi primer asalto, la primera vez que me apuntaron con un arma fue en transporte público de regreso de la empresa para acá. Entonces, pues se siente bien culero, güey. Y luego que te pasa otra vez y otra vez y otra vez. O sea, no fueron como acá. Una semana me pasó. O sea, en 8 años me pasó 5 veces que subían con armas. Y pues está gacho. Ahorita sí me da un poquito de cosita ir para allá. Cuando fue lo de que la empresa se cambió y ya no quise renovar con ellos, que me llevaron a conciliación a darme mi liquidación. Dije, chinga su madre, yo me voy en Uber a mi casa, no me voy a ir en camión, me sacan el dinero y vale más. Igual una vez tuve que ir a que me dieran un acta, ¿no? Un acta, ¿no? ¿Cómo se llama? Una carta de recomendación para mi siguiente trabajo. Dije, chinga su madre, me voy en taxi, me regreso en taxi, yo no voy en camión para allá. Pero sí está gacho. Ya. Pues hablamos del moreno por el café de Costa Rica. Ok. Las ruinas de Costa Rica. Sigamos con los archivos.
Are there any large-scale ruins in Costa Rica, Paz?
There is a place east of Cartago called Guajabu. They have ruins there, but they're not especially big.
Not the place I'm thinking of. Any others?
Well, if you go a little way across the border into Nicaragua, there is a place called La Fortaleza de la Inmaculada Concepción. That is the only famous one.
Then what were those ruins I saw from up on Irasu?
There are a lot of things we still do not know about Costa Rica's ancient
Esa es en esa parte donde
civilization.
vamos en el juego, ¿no?
There
Más o
are
menos.
giant stone spheres throughout the country. What they were used for is still a mystery.
La neutralidad no armada de Costa Rica. Artículo 12 de la Constitución.
Paz, you said Costa Rica has no army, right?
Correct. Article 12 of the Constitution
Ay,
declares
me encanta la
that
voz de esta
the Army
chica.
as a permanent institution is abolished. It does permit us to
Sé que es
organize
falsa,
armed
¿no? Pero
forces
me
for national
me
defense
gusta.
based on inter-American treaties.
Only temporarily, then.
In effect, yes. But in the years since the Constitution took effect, Costa Rica has not once raised an army.
¿Cómo mantiene la paz Costa Rica?
Paz, how does your country defend itself without an army? Especially in a rough neighborhood like Central America.
With the right kind of diplomacy. If we live up to our ideals and earn the respect of other countries, the international community will support us. The 2 times Nicaragua actually did invade, the conflict was resolved diplomatically under OAS auspices.
Doesn't that leave you depending on the U.S. after all?
American influence is unmatched, it is true. San Jose was critical of American policy at the time, but America supported us all the same. It was because we practiced peaceful diplomacy. That is what I like to think.
That's one way to approach it, sure. But there are countries out there who will use force no matter how bad it looks.
Maybe so. I know my way of thinking probably looks naive to you,
Sí, suena
but it
bastante
is
ingenuo,
not
de
like
hecho.
we expect peace without working for it. Diplomacy is a battle in itself, and we have to make the effort to seek out causes of misfortune and nip them in the bud. It was that kind of thinking that got me trapped in their base.
I'm not blaming you. You haven't done anything wrong.
El pedo es que su rol es ser agradable, es el pedo. Pero luego si ya sabes cómo sigue y cómo acaba todo, dices, o sea, pobre chica también, no mames. Está bien que era espía, pero no, se pasaron de lance. Falso solo el personaje, la actriz no es falsa. Bueno, o sea, pero es un tono de voz fingido, es a lo que me refiero. No que sea falsa la voz. O sea, está hecho para que sea agradable. El motivo de la abolición del ejército.
The army was abolished 25 years ago, the year after the Civil War. I learned about the sorrow of civil war from a very young age, the futility of countrymen fighting each other, and the tragedy. Costa Rica learned the hard way. That is why it abolished its army. It decided to pour its efforts into education instead. More teachers than soldiers was the slogan.
Education is essential, no question. Even Che used to teach reading and writing in between guerrilla campaigns.
Costa Rica was poor at the time. We did not have many resources. I suppose we had to pick one or the other. The military or the schools.
Pues actuado sí, pero de la voz de la actriz sí es así. Pues sí es así. O sea, ¿cómo te digo? O sea, obviamente es la voz de la actriz, pero el perfil del personaje de Paz es que la actriz haga la voz lo más dulce que pueda, lo más cálida, lo más agradable como para cualquiera, ¿no? Ese es el rol. Es como las streamers que hablan con voz de gatito, ¿no? Todo pinche tierno y así. Ajá, exactamente. La Constitución Pacífica de Japón.
Kaz was telling me Japan has a peace constitution too.
That is right. Apparently, when Costa Rica was drafting its constitution, they looked to the Japanese as a model. Only, Japan's constitution renounces war itself.
O sea, sí, es actuación, pero me refiero a que el personaje dentro del juego está actuando la voz.
I think I will ask Mr. Miller about it next time I see him. He said he used to be in the JSDF.
Huh. You're a curious one, are you? Don't study too hard.
Es actuación dentro de la actuación. La paz perpetua.
What was that you were saying? Peace is not the natural state of men. You said you learned it in school.
That is right. They are the words of the German philosopher Immanuel Kant. In 1795, he wrote a book titled Perpetual Peace.
Una actuación Inception.
Kant argued
Exacto.
that it is precisely because peace is unnatural that we have to make it ourselves.
How?
That is what his book is about. Is the concept starting to sound interesting now?
Not really. I belong in a more natural world.
Is that so? My grandparents died in the Civil War. If only we had been at peace, they would not have lost their lives. You actually wish for war?
It's not like I want to hurt innocent civilians, but if someone attacks you, what are you supposed to do? A country needs the strength to defend itself. Otherwise it faces invasion, oppression, political subjugation.
If they would simply stop using force to tangle with each other, countries would not need force to defend themselves.
And how would you guarantee that?
Haz voz de streamer para escuchar un ejemplo.
Nel perro. How the world works in order to protect the ones you love. That's not to say ideals aren't important too. They are.
You are right, Snake. Thanks.
Peace.
Peace.
El entorno natural de Costa Rica. Los bosques tropicales de Costa Rica.
Costa Rica's forests are more diverse than you might expect. Not all of them are tropical rainforests. Costa Rica is close to the equator, it is true, but it is also very mountainous.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Go up 4,000 feet in elevation and the temperature drops more than 7 degrees.
There are basically 3 types of forests. The lowlands are covered in tropical rainforests, the highlands by tropical cloud forests, and areas where there's a dry season have tropical dry forests.
Las selvas tropicales.
The lowlands along the Caribbean coast are mostly covered by hot, humid tropical rainforests, what most people envision when they think of jungle. The closely packed trees spread their branches out at great heights to soak up the sun. Their shade makes it dark near the ground, so be careful. Of course, With so little light, few plants can grow on the ground, so it might actually be easier to walk.
So even if you could photosynthesize, it wouldn't do you any good.
Photosynthesize? People cannot do that.
¡Oh! Guiño a Metal Gear 5.
Most people, anyway.
No, al revés, ¿no? Metal Gear 5 fue guiño a esto. De las personas que hacen fotosíntesis. Bosques secos tropicales.
Areas with a distinct dry season, like the Pacific coast, have tropical dry forests. During the dry season, the trees drop their leaves. It gives you a clearer view, but at the same time, there are fewer places to hide. So be careful.
Sounds dull.
It is not really. A lot of trees flower during the dry season, including my favorite, the tabebuya.
Tabebuya.
Amazingly vivid yellow flowers.
¡Ah! Referencia a los morros de ahora con sus flores amarillas. Que no sé qué son las pinches flores amarillas o qué significan, ¿no? Pero referencia. Bosques nublados tropicales.
The cloud forests cover the central mountainous region of the
Nubosos.
country. They are perpetually shrouded in fog. You get wet just standing there. It is as if the entire forest is inside a cloud.
Must make for poor visibility.
It does, but beauty too. It is like being lost in some mystical green labyrinth.
I'd rather not get lost, if that's okay.
The forests are also home to lots of rare animals, especially bright-colored frogs. They like the humidity.
El basilisco también. La mariposa es morfo. Ah, referencia a Digimon. Ah, digo, pura mamada, la neta.
You know that
Con el
butterfly
morfomon.
painted on Peace Walker? Any idea what that is?
It is a morpho, a Palladius morpho, if I'm not mistaken.
Pallades morpho.
Uh-huh. It is the most common type of morpho in Costa Rica.
Huh.
It has these gorgeous metallic blue wings that shimmer in the light. You can see them even from a distance.
You mean they reflect light?
Correct. It is called structural color. Morpho scales have tiny bumps on them that interfere with the light and make them look blue. The space between the bumps corresponds to the wavelength of the blue light.
Let me see if I get this. So if you could change the spacing, you'd end up seeing a different color.
That is the principle. I heard somewhere it is being researched as a way to color cloth without dye.
Think of the camouflage you could make with that.
Es lo que va a
Is
decir
that all you can think of?
el camuflaje
Hey,
óptico.
it's important. What I don't get is why they'd put a butterfly on Peace Walker.
Maybe because it looks pretty.
I hope that's all it is.
No me digas que se va a camuflajear el Peace Walker. Diversidad biológica.
Costa Rica is said to have about 87,000 species of living things. That is about 5% of all the known species in the world.
A tiny place like this? Huh. I'll be damned.
I want to protect that biological diversity. When diversity is lost, the environment weakens. Just look at the plantations.
I think I know what you mean. It's like trying to assemble a unit from similar guys. It usually doesn't work out. Throw a few square pegs in there and everything falls into place.
There are so many species here that a lot of them have not even been classified yet. I am hoping I can help do that someday. Kind of like a parataxonomist.
¿Para qué? Oh,
Say that again.
igual yo.
Parataxonomist. Someone who helps a taxonomist.
Oh. I thought you were going to say it had something to do with parachutes.
You're weird.
Te va a dar trabajo, Relian, ahora que lo pienso. Vas a subir estas partes y tú vas a dividir las barritas de tiempo del YouTube, güey. Todos los nombres de todos los archivos que estamos viendo. Para que ya se dividan mis esas cosas. Mis videos. Corporación Costarricense de Desarrollo.
The Development Corporation of Costa Rica, or CODESA,
La
was
CODESA.
established 2 years ago. Since President Odubor was elected this year, the state has been putting a lot more effort into development.
The corporate state, so to speak.
Growth is good and all, but there is one thing that bugs me.
What's that?
I cannot help but
Me gusta
wonder
cuando hacen
whether
el español
CODESA
inglés. El
is
español
not just a front for la
en sus
CIA.
frasecitas en
You mean
español.
what the professor was saying about the CIA mercenaries posing as security guards? They were using CODESA as camouflage?
I am worried that development is going to destroy the forests. but I do not suppose it has anything to do with this.
Ok. Y la autobiografía de Paz. Vamos a verla. La de casa estuvo buena, ¿eh? Peace.
My mother was the one who named me Paz. She said it was an expression of her wish that the country stay at peace. It is a pretty common name in Central America. My mother always used to tell me, never make war. Always help keep the peace.
I remember. Your grandparents.
Yes. They died in the Civil War. I think that is why my mother hated war so much.
That's another thing you've got in common with Kaz. His mother named him Peace, too.
See, because Japan also suffered through war. I think I know how Mr. Miller's mother felt.
¿Cómo rescalar una imagen para que no pierda calidad? No. Tendrías que haberla hecho desde el inicio más grande, ¿no? No sé, la verdad. Sí, así que tendrías que tener la imagen en una definición alta o no sé. A lo mejor, no sé, la verdad. Me imagino que hiciste como un emoticón o algo así, ¿no? Y lo estiraste y ya se hizo todo borroso. Es que ando sacando capturas de un juego por la captura súper pequeñas. Imagino que sacaste de un emulador de un Game Boy o algo así de ese tipo de calidad, ¿no? No sabría decirte. Más o menos. No, ni idea, hermano. Ahí sí te fallo. El signo de la paz.
You like the peace sign, huh?
See, as a gesture, it connects every peace-loving person. Here, you try it, Snake. Peace.
Peace.
No thanks. It doesn't suit me.
Too bad for you.
You know, the V in the peace sign comes from the V in victory. When did it start standing for peace?
I am not completely sure, but I guess it came out of the protest movement against the Vietnam War. Oh, and do not turn your hand around when you do it, especially around British people. It is insulting.
¿Así o así? Así, ¿no? Creo que había visto eso en un video de algo, de que es como un insulto, pero no me acuerdo qué pedo. Ya veré qué hago. Google sabe todo. La infancia de Peace. A ver. No, que no hay mensaje. No. No hay mensaje. La infancia de Peace.
So,
Bueno, de paz.
you live alone now?
No, not alone. I've been living in school dormitories since I started junior high. After my mother died, my relatives took me in, but they were not my real family.
You didn't fit in there.
In a way. My aunts were kind to me and all. But I know how difficult it must have been to suddenly have a child thrust into their lives. When you live with someone, there are no secrets. I could tell my being there was a burden on them.
Sounds like a rough childhood.
I would not say that. I was lucky just to have people take me in. There are huérfanos living out in the streets because their mothers died. It is even worse in countries with frequent civil wars. So, who am I to complain about my childhood?
You're a pretty tough kid, you know?
Not at all. I am not strong at all.
El papel de Paz en Mother Base.
I have a favor to ask you, Snake.
Name it.
I want you to give me a job here. I want to help out.
You sure? You just went through a hell of a time. You should probably take it easy until you're settled.
Thank you. But there must be something I can do. You would not want me near a gun. But I am a decent cook.
Now there's a skill we can use.
Put me on the mess hall team. I think I can handle it.
Y al rato nos
Once I
envenena a
get used
todos.
to it, I will even add in some Costa Rican recipes.
Sounds like a plan.
¿Qué pasó? Nos envenenó Paz. ¿Es una traidora? No, cocina feo. El litoral de Costa Rica. La playa del Alba.
Playa del Alba means beach of dawn. The morning sun is so beautiful over the Caribbean.
Beach of Dawn, huh? Perfect place to start a mission.
The clear blue water, the white sand, the swaying palm trees. You cannot get more South American than here. It is paradise on earth.
Yeah, guess I should have packed my Hawaiian shirt.
The coral reefs and mangrove forests protect the small fish in the area. Sea turtles come to lay their eggs on these beaches. We are not the only ones who enjoy this place. It is heaven for more than just humans.
Supongo que es donde está la misión extra. Bosque del Alba.
Bosque del Alba means forest of dawn. Naturally, it is situated on the east coast. It is your standard tropical rainforest. Everything you would imagine in a jungle.
No sign of morning sun here.
The foliage is too thick for direct sunlight to hit the floor. I do not know how easy it will be making your way through here.
I'll be fine. This isn't my first trip to a jungle.
Puerto del Alba.
The mercenary supply base is situated on elevated ground by the coast. I heard them call it Puerto del Alba.
Puerto
Port
del
of
Alba.
Dawn. They have perfect visibility of the area from up there. We did our best to sneak in undetected, but one of the guards spotted us and we...
What is it?
I'm sorry. You'll have to ask Professor Galvez the rest.
It's okay. You've been through a lot.
I am sorry. I just cannot.
You did great, Paz. I won't let your efforts go wasted.
Chale, la patrona quiere comunicarse en el chat y no la deja. Limón Oriental, el Senegal, selva.
This is a tropical rainforest, just like Bosque del Alba. The temperature and humidity can be brutal. El Senegal means place of mud.
No, mud. Great. I'll watch my step.
This area often gets flooded by the river. There are canals here and there carved out by water.
Good places to hide.
But they will also make it harder for you to see. Be careful, Snake.
El Senegal, los barrancos.
There should be a suspension bridge around there.
In lowlands like this?
The ground nearby is harder and higher than usual. The river cut through it, eventually creating a valley. There might be another way to get across the river somewhere.
I wouldn't want to run into someone on the bridge.
The valley tends to be misty, so you might not be able to see the water from up there. Fall and it will leave more than a bump.
I'll be careful.
El Senegal, el pantano.
When a river floods an area, the banks can collapse, creating a marsh. You see a lot of them around here.
I'll need to watch the noise my feet make in El Senegal.
There is a marsh on the other side of the river too. The suspension bridge will take you there.
Ok. El río de Jade.
The river running through here is Rio del Jade, or the Jade River.
Jade? Are there minerals around here?
No, it refers to the color of the water. You will have
Puedo
to go
sacar
to
dinero.
Guatemala for jade.
Doesn't look all that pretty from where I'm standing.
We are still in the rainy season, so the river is a little muddy. It will return to normal once the dry season starts. Rivers are an important means of transport around here. They are relatively calm, and there are plenty of canals along the coast too.
A boat would be more than enough to transport some good-sized cargo.
Like a nuclear weapon.
We don't know enough yet. I'll keep looking.
Thank you, Snake.
Bananal, fruta de oro, cabaña de clasificación.
There is a lot of banana cultivation along Costa Rica's Caribbean coast. The area is dotted with banana plantations. Bananas have been Costa Rica's main crop since they were introduced from Panama in the 19th century. They bring in a fair amount of foreign currency.
A real fruta de oro, huh?
See, but exporting all those bananas require a ton of land.
Hence all the plantations.
Clearing all that forest just to grow bananas robs animals of their habitats. I do not know how good that is for Costa Rica in the end.
Son unas por otras, ¿no? Bananal, fruta de oro, la granja.
Panama disease was rampant here about 20 years ago, putting a lot of banana plantations out of business.
Panama disease?
It is caused by a type of fungus. Apparently it killed off almost all the banana species that used to grow here.
How could that happen?
Cultivated bananas do not produce seeds. You have to remove and transplant part of the stem yourself. You plant them in the fields.
So you've got acres of identical plants?
See, when one plant is infected, the disease spreads quickly. Species lacking genetic diversity become weak. They grow different bananas today, one said to be resistant to Panama disease.
Órale. Evolucionar y sobrevivir. Zona del monte Irazú. ¡Su madre! Chico que quiero jugar. Camino de lava. La ladera.
Costa Rica has several active volcanoes, Irazú being one of them.
That's where Camino de Lava comes from, huh?
The tropical dry forests around here are quite different from our rainforests. They lose their leaves in the dry season. Tropical forests are not all thick jungles. A few of them even have cacti. Some of Costa Rica's greatest assets are its diverse forests and natural landscapes.
Camino de lava. El cruce. A ver, segundo. Quién sabe, amor. No sé si esté desactualizada tu aplicación o algo. La neta no sé. Camino de lava. El cruce.
Costa Rica got its first real railroads up and running about 100 years ago. Their primary purpose was to move coffee harvested in the Central Basin to the Caribbean coast.
They built railroads here 100 years ago? That's impressive.
It was even more difficult than you would imagine. Later, they started using the railroads for shipping bananas too. There still might be some branch lines around here.
Aldea de los despiertos.
Aldea de los Despiertos means Village of the Awake.
Weird name.
The area is littered with coffee fields, and there is a factory nearby. The villagers are fans of coffee, so...
Ah, they don't get much sleep, huh? They've got a sense of humor, all right.
I cannot believe they would take over a place like this and use it as a prison. It is unforgivable for both the CIA and the thugs they employ. All the villagers wanted was to live in peace. What gives the CIA the right to crush them like that?
They don't care about anyone's rights but their own. It's just the way some people are.
You really think so?
Don't worry. It just gives me the right to teach them a lesson.
Cafetal aroma encantado.
La CIA has taken control of this coffee factory too, all to produce its drugs. It was famous once for its fine beans.
Cafetal aroma encantado. Enchanting aroma, huh?
See, once we have thrown the mercenaries out of Costa Rica, I know it will make wonderful coffee again. And then you must come and try some, Snake.
Sounds great. I wouldn't mind a cup of joe after all this is over. Oh, wait.
What is wrong?
No, I just remembered this guy I knew who wasn't big on coffee. English. Get rid of that muddy water and get a cup of black tea down your gob, he'd say.
That is too bad for him. It is delicious.
No, café no. El cadalso.
As I said before, building railroads in Costa Rica was a dangerous job. A lot of men died, and sometimes they stopped work altogether. This is one of those places. They had to cut through steep terrain, so when they finally made it through, they just built the rail terminal right there. And that is why they named it...
El Cadalso. The gallows. Charming. I'm surprised the construction money didn't dry up the way things were going.
Actually, it did, but the bananas helped complete it. So they say.
You mean the energy the workers got from eating bananas? I suppose they do have plenty of vitamins and...
No. I meant the money they got to finish it came from exporting bananas. But one thing is for certain. The owners of the railroads expanded into the banana trade after construction was completed. That was the start of banana cultivation in Costa Rica.
Costa Rica. Los cantos, el cañón, a la madre, es un chingo.
Snake, to the north of the village is a bridge that crosses a hydraulic pipe. Though normally the bridge is not used by people, if you slip, you will fall straight to the bottom of the valley. Be careful.
What's a channel doing here?
It is not for irrigation. They are hydroelectric pipes. I wonder if they run into Irasu's crater lake. Normally they would build a reservoir at the bottom of the valley, but it was probably too dangerous. Los Cantos means sword peak.
Los Cantos, la cresta.
You should be able to see across the Irasu mountain range from there. There are not as many big trees at that elevation, and you will probably be well above the mist.
It'll be tough to hide up there.
You're not thinking about the scenery right now, are you?
Not while I'm surrounded by bad guys.
You should have seen it when the country was at peace. I know you would have been impressed.
Well, that'll be our reward for a successful mission. Sound good?
Wonderful. Thank you, Snake.
Fuerte la ladera.
There is an old fort around there.
What is it, boss? You sound upset.
Well, you see, it was built during the Civil War.
Let me guess. Disputes between Costa Rica's political parties escalated into all-out conflict.
See, conflict that cost my grandparents their lives. The most senseless sort of war. Countrymen mindlessly slaughtering their own. That fort is a reminder of that senselessness.
Sadly ironic, given who's occupying it now.
That war was the reason Costa Rica abolished the army. Please, Snake, get them out of our country.
I intend to.
Base del cráter.
Pass. What was the government thinking, building a power plant at the top of a mountain? With no river to replenish the water, the lake would dry up pretty quick.
If it were an ordinary power plant. But the plan called for a pumped storage power plant.
Pumped storage power plant? Kaz mentioned that too. What is that?
It is a facility that generates electricity by pumping water up to the lake, then letting it run back down.
Seems Sisyphean to me.
If they turned the water into electricity as soon as they had pumped it up, sure. But a pumped storage plant acts as a kind of battery.
A battery?
For instance, they could pump at night when there is surplus electricity and store it for later use. If they need extra power during the day, they can generate it using water pumped up during the night.
I get it. It's a little more difficult to adjust output with thermal or nuclear plants.
The thing is, Costa Rica won't have enough electricity to meet its needs. Right now, there is no surplus.
Maybe that's what put the brakes on the project. Must have played right into the CIA's hands.
Heredia Centro. La selva de la leche. La selva.
This area is a tropical cloud forest, continually covered in a thick mist. It is quite a mystical place.
Selva de la leche. Forest of milk. I can barely see in front of me.
No sé, me causa gracia oírlo sobre
The
español.
forest is basically sitting in a cloud, so of course it's going to be hard to see. But you know, the cloud forest is the only place many exotic creatures can live.
Well, if they're not edible, I'm not interested.
Snake, I'll have you know people travel from all around the world to witness Costa Rica's unique fauna.
La selva de la leche. La ladera.
Snake, watch out for the frogs.
Why? They bite? Relax. No frog's ever eaten a snake. Although, I've feasted on a few frogs' legs myself.
But they are dangerous. They are poisonous.
Poisonous?
Poison dart frogs live up to their name, I assure you. Their poison is so strong. The Indígena use them to make poison-tipped arrows. Some secrete poison through their skin. Even touching them can be dangerous. So don't go petting them or anything.
So... I can't eat one?
I am warning you.
Chale. La catarata de la muerte.
Catarata de la Muerte means waterfall of death.
Huh. How cheerful.
I am sure it will be no problem for you, Snake. Especially compared to all the dire situations you've faced in the past.
Yeah, easy to say now. We'll see what really happens.
Sorry. Still, you have surprised me. Everything they say about the legend is true.
I'm neither hero nor legend. But for some reason, I don't mind you calling me that.
Thanks. Be careful, Snake. Peace.
La selva de la muerte.
Selva de la Muerte, huh? Forest of Death. Wouldn't want to get lost here.
Sure wouldn't. But do not worry. I will be your guide.
Happy to hear it.
By the way, Snake, you know much about sloths?
Just the name.
They are amazing. Sloths spend almost all of their lives up in the trees, except for when they have to go to the bathroom. Plus, they barely eat a thing.
What? How do they survive?
Why do you think they are called sloths? They hardly move, so they hardly burn any energy. They are also able to maintain a low body temperature, lowering their metabolism further and allowing them to survive on very little.
Wouldn't that make it easier for them to get picked off by predators?
They stick to the trees, helping them blend in and stay out of sight. They say there are even some sloths that grow moss when they reach a certain age, like some sort of fairy tale forest hermit, huh?
I knew a great old sniper once.
¿Otra
Guess
vez?
he was even more in tune with nature than I thought.
Old sniper? What are you talking about?
Las ruinas de Xochiquetzal. Xochiquetzal.
La Ruinas de Xochiquetzal will be around there.
Xochiquetzal.
They have not been restored at all, so they may well be covered in plants.
Xochiquetzal?
An Aztec goddess of fertility and beauty. They say she was always accompanied by birds and butterflies. One theory states she was the mother of the god known as Quetzalcoatl.
Quetzalcoatl.
The
Una
Quetzal is said to be an
serpiente emplumada.
incarnation of Quetzalcoatl, hence its name.
I get it. Well, this place definitely matches the atmosphere of a cloud forest.
Now, it may have seen better days, but that is still a temple, so be sure to show respect when you're inside.
If the mood strikes me.
Well, you've got no one to blame but yourself if Xochiquetzal strikes you down.
Laboratorio de Inteligencia Artificial.
I do not know if I recall such large ruins being there.
Well, didn't you say there's a lot we don't know about Costa Rica's ancient civilizations? You talked about some giant stone balls, too. What are those?
Oh, the stone spheres of Costa Rica? They are an assortment of giant spheres carved from stone that were discovered in the jungles of Costa Rica about 50 years ago.
What's so special about that?
What if I told you some of them are nearly perfect spheres, and that they were carved out of granite, which is quite a hard substance?
Could be good for laying a trap. And if they're spherical, they roll easily, too.
Snake!
Todo lo que le dice a Snake lo busca cómo usarlo en el campo de batalla. Base de la mina. Viviendas de los mineros.
So tell me, what do they mine around here?
Gold, if I am not mistaken.
Gold? No kidding. I wonder what would be the fastest way to...
I do not know how much success they have had. You do not hear of anyone still operating mines around here.
Oh,
Generally speaking, people here are not too thrilled with outside capital coming in and taking away the country's natural resources. 4 years ago, a group of protesters hurled stones at the Parliament building when people found out the country had been bestowing mining rights to foreign companies.
Ok. Pozo minero.
They They must have had to clear a considerable amount of forest to open up that mine.
No doubt. So much for any hiding places, too.
And it is not just the forest. Without the proper precautions, the mine's wastewater could pollute the groundwater. And to top it all off, they're developing nuclear weapons there too. How can people care so little about their own country?
I'm not the one to ask about that.
Well, you may have abandoned your country, but you still treasure where you came from.
You think so?
Sure. I know you do.
Paz, whatever you do, never stop loving your country.
Ok. Pues esa es la biblioteca de archivos de paz. Y pues aquí queda la parte 1 de los archivos. De la biblioteca de archivos.